One-on-one passing drills and skeleton drills. Last couple of days, I've seen him throw. He looks absolutely fabulous.
All right, we'll get up to the broadcast booth. You're on in about 15 or so.
No problem.
All right, thanks a lot, Randy. Now, besides Randy Cross, obviously he knows Tony Dungy, but many of us don't. It's going to be a learning process this year. A year ago, Tony was the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. But in just 1 year, he has dramatically changed things with his trip to Tampa.
That's it. Getting it loose, getting ready to roll.
Well, after 16 years as an assistant coach, now it's Tony Dungy, head coach. It's got a nice ring to it. Has it sunk in yet?
It really hasn't. It's been a fun training camp, and I think our guys are getting the idea of what we're trying to do. And for me, it probably will take a couple of games to realize that, I'm the one making the decisions and doing the things that I've always watched the other coaches do. But I think it's going to be enjoyable.
See if we can at least beat a couple of linemen there, receivers. Used to be a day when the receivers led the pack. Guess that was back in the day, though.
You have the task of getting this team ready to win football games, but you also inherited a team that is looking for a new stadium. Do you feel the pressure that you have to win in the preseason and win that first game against Green Bay to get that referendum passed?
Not really. We want to be impressive. We want to do some things for our ball club. That's what we've talked about. Our 53 guys, our 80 guys right now in the preseason, our coaching staff, our ownership. We want to see the franchise come along. It'd be great to get a new stadium. We want to do that. We certainly want to stay in Tampa, but that's not our responsibility. That's up to the fans and up to the taxpayers. What we want to do is put a good team out there.
Tonight you face Jimmy Johnson, a guy who was up for the Bucs head coaching job. Is it going to be weird meeting with him before the game?
Not really. From that standpoint, Jimmy's been very good. And matter of fact, after he decided to go to Miami, we talked on the phone, and he told me that he thought Tampa was a great situation, and he's tried to help me in a number of ways. So I think it's just going to be good for him to be back on the sideline. Obviously a great coach, and that's where he deserves to be.
Set.
All Buck fans want to know how Trent Dilfer's doing. They're going to see him tonight, but in your eyes, what have you seen so far from Trent?
Trent's come on well. He's practiced very hard. I think he's in good shape, and I think he's been very diligent in the meetings and preparation. Then it comes a time where you have to do it on the field, and hopefully tonight we'll show those signs of progress, and we want to just keep getting better and better. But he's doing very well, and we expect him to play well.
That's exactly what we want to do. We want a little confusion. We come up and drill them. That's the way.
We've shown flashes during the 2 weeks of training camp where we will really have some good signs, some good tempo, good crisp practices, and then we have other times where we're not quite as good. What we've got to do is strive to be consistent 60 minutes every time we go on the field, week in and week out. That's what we're trying to build in the preseason.
We'll get to see how that preseason gets underway in about 10 minutes or so when the Bucs and Finns go at it. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at some of the new Buccaneer faces, and we'll talk to Coach Shula, not Don, Mike, when the countdown to kickoff show rolls on live from Joe Robbie Stadium.
Bucs, Falcons, next Sunday at 4.
The Bucs start here, UPN 44.
JRS starting to fill up here. Bucs and Finns at the top of the hour. With a new coach comes a new system, a new coaching staff, and, oh, yeah, a lot of new players. With a new look at the Buccaneers, it's the not-so-new Rob Stone.
We begin, appropriately enough, with our first pick, defensive end Reagan Upshaw, who's ready to spread some love.
Man, I love the crowd to get jumped up and act crazy. It makes me play harder. When I know I got thousands of people supporting me, and that's what they're there for, and I'm here to give you a good show.
The choreographer for the Reagan Upshaw show may well have been fellow Buck and California grad Hardy Nickerson.
We trained together in California. That really helped me out because there's no way I would have been able to train up to the level of intensity that we trained on the off season.
Next up, fellow first-rounder Marcus Jones. He's a 6'6", 282-pound defensive tackle whose motto is,
There's no need to fear, underdog is here.
I mean, I always felt that, you know, regardless of what I'm doing, I'm always the underdog. When you feel like you have nothing to lose, you tend to, you know, do well at certain things because that's a simple fact. You don't have anything to lose, so you're not worried about getting hurt. You're not worried about making a mistake. You're just worried about just going out there, you know, just having a good time.
these furry friends are fired up. Marcus is here. So is he.
I was thinking to myself the other day, I really couldn't have come to a better team. You know, I'm the type of person who likes to grow with the team, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely a team player.
Searching for a new fan favorite? Look no further than second-round pick fullback Mike Allstott.
Now, since I've been drafted, you know, steal the draft and everything, I mean, that's positive towards me. I'm going to eat that up. I'm going to show it on the field, and I'm going to go out there and show people that I wasn't steal the draft.
Former New York Giant tackle Doug Riesenberg doesn't mind Malfunction Junction. Hey, he's used to driving through the traffic snarls of the Big Apple.
I think my role is to hopefully get in there and play as much as I can at right tackle and just try to keep guys off trend more than anything.
Last year, he chased Eric Rett and was the Jaguars' second leading tackler. This season, linebacker Keith Goganius is just trying to crack the Buck lineup.
Right now, I'm at the bottom of the depth chart. But that's okay. That's expected because I haven't been here doing that. But, you know, I expect for myself to be out on the field. You know, I know it's going to be a great challenge to have three great players, but, you know, if you're not a football player, you don't challenge yourself to getting out there and getting yourself ready to play, then there's no need to even be out here.
For the first 30 years of Mike Shula's life, his dad has been a head coach in the NFL. The first 25 of those years, he was coaching right here in Miami. But everything's changed in 1 year. Don is out, Jimmy Johnson is in, and now Mike Shula, at age 31, got the biggest break of his career. Selecting Mike Shula as an offensive coordinator may have puzzled a few Buccaneer fans, but it made perfect sense to Tony Dungy. Tony wasn't afraid that Mike was only 30 years old. After all, Dungy was a defensive coordinator at age 27. Shula's quiet, meticulous approach to the game mimics Dungy's style. And toss in the fact that Mike is the son of the winningest coach in NFL history, and it was a no-brainer.
Do I feel pressure because of my last name? And now it's not only that or because I'm young, and not really. To tell you the truth, you really don't have time to if you're thinking about the pressures of the job, regardless of why there are pressures, then you're really not concentrating on the things that you need to be concentrating on.
That means turning around an offense that ranked second to last in 1995. Shula's plan is similar to the one he coached in Chicago. It relies heavy on the run, and it keeps the pressure off the quarterback.
In this offense, we're not going to ask our quarterback to assume all the responsibility. We're going to run the football. We're going to ask our tight ends to catch a lot of balls and be in the right spot. We're going to ask our backs to come out of the backfield and catch balls. We're going to ask our receivers to get open, spread the ball around, and spread the responsibility around.
I've always responded very well to coaches that can speak to me and talk to me about things, not jump down my throat and criticize and all that. A guy that can talk things through and whatnot. And that's how Mike is.
Is it going to be weird to be at Joe Robbie Stadium, look across that field, and not see your dad as the head coach?
Maybe a little bit at first. To tell you the truth, I'll probably be so busy in what I'm doing, I probably won't even notice anything about their sidelines.
Spoken like a true coach. Coming up next on Countdown to Kickoff, we're going to turn it over to the Buck writers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They know this team best. That's coming up next when we're live from Joe Robbie Stadium on Countdown to Kickoff. We're just getting ready for the player introductions in just a moment. You know, nobody knows this team better. Well, actually better than the coaches. Nobody knows this team better than the actual beat writers that follow this team on a daily basis. We yanked the laptops away from the Buck writers, and we asked them to give us their first 2 weeks grade report on the Tampa Bay Bucs.
I think Trent looks better. He certainly seems much more confident out there. I think he's much glad that the Sam Weiss regime has ended and the Tony Dungy era has arrived, and I think it's going to reflect on his performance on the field. Let me warn people, to all those who come out watching practice at Pep and Rude, the best quarterback I ever saw during the month of August was Vinny Testaverde. And we all know what happened to Vinny Testaverde when the game started counting for real. So let's not be too hasty here and say, boy, Trent's struggling out there. Give the young man his due.
I think Trent has all the ability, the physical ability, and I think the mental capabilities of being a very good quarterback in this league. And I think it's just fitting him to a system that utilizes those things that he can do. I think that he can be a good player in this league. Now, how quickly that's going to happen, there are a lot of other things have to come together. It's not just the quarterback. Whether it'll be this year or next year, whenever, I don't know. But I think eventually he will be a good NFL quarterback.
I think he's comfortable with Mike Shula. Clearly, there was a lot of personality conflicts last year with Sam White and the pressure to win and the pressure to have to play the first-round pick and knowing what he was going to go through. And so it's a totally different situation for Trent, and he's not looking too far in the future. He's just trying to get everything down day by day and make that steady progression that he needs to make.
I think I would go with Leroy Thompson. I think the coaches thought that he would be, he's a veteran player, has played with Pittsburgh, Kansas City, some other teams that were in the playoffs. And I think they felt that he would help this team, but I think they've all been very surprised with the way he's picked up the offense.
I think it's Mike Allstott. I mean, when the Bucs lucked out in draft day and found the big fullback from Purdue still sitting there early in the second round, they were very happy. They've got to be ecstatic now. This guy does it all.
I think the cornerback, Donnie Abraham, who was a third-round pick, looks to be a guy that's going to play a lot and help them in the nickel and the dime packages, and also can be a guy that down the road might be able to start for them at corner. With the two 9-year veterans there, you don't know how much they have left in the tank. So they're looking for help in the secondary, and he's looked very good so far.
It will be interesting to see without Eric Rett in the lineup just who picks up the slack in the Buccaneers backfield. Randy Cross told us earlier today that look for Tracy Johnson, a guy that's impressed him so far in camp. Well, coming up next, we're going to hear from the man of the hour, Tony Dungy. He's about ready to start things here as head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we'll have him next live on Countdown to Kickoff from Joe Robbie Stadium. Welcome back to Joe Robbie Stadium. Bucs and Fins just about to go at it. That means the embarkment of the Tony Dungy era. Are you a little bit nervous right now?
Well, I don't know, Pat. It's a kind of a strange feeling, but I'm fairly relaxed. I think we're going to do well. I think we've had good preparation. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen.
What's your philosophy with preseason games? I know some coaches feel that injuries are a big deal, so they're worried about that. But you got to install a new system here.
Right. We can't be worried about injuries. Our thing right now is to get our tempo established and how we're going to play and look at our young people, and that's what we want to do. We want to come out and play well and get the job done.
We know Chidi Ahanatu is out. Bring us up to date on the rest of the injuries.
We've got a few other injuries. Keith Poe, Mike Allstott probably won't play tonight. John Lynch we're going to hold out if at all possible. So we've got about 5 guys that won't see too much action tonight.
As far as playing time with Trent, he'll play the first half?
He's going to go the first half. Casey's going to go the second half, and then we hope to get Scott Milanovic a little time at the end of the game.
Eric Rett reported to camp yesterday, will not play tonight. Has that been the biggest headache thus far for you?
No, it really hasn't been a headache at all. Our other running backs are doing quite well, and hopefully Eric's situation will get squared away. But you have to just look forward and not really look back, and I think we're doing okay.
Well, good luck tonight. All the eyes of Bay Area will be watching.
I don't think they'll be watching me. I think they're watching Coach John.
Well, good luck tonight. All right, coming up, Tom Mees and Randy Cross will have the action for you. That'll do it for Countdown to Kickoff. The Buccaneers and the Fins are coming up next. Tampa Bay Buccaneer football is coming up next on WTOG, St. Petersburg, Tampa.
For the 21st time as an NFL franchise, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are set to kick off another preseason. Tonight it starts at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, the first of 2 preseason games against the Miami Dolphins. And good evening to you, everyone. I'm Tom Mees along with Randy Cross. Randy on our telecast this year. Of course, a few years ago in this stadium, Randy, you won the 3rd of your 3 Super Bowl titles.
Well, Super Bowl 23, and my last game, I walked out that tunnel right over there was my last appearance, so it's always going to be special.
And this place is always going to be special for one Tony Dungy, 15 years an NFL assistant. Tonight he begins a new career as a head coach.
Well, I've known Tony Dungy for quite a long time, longer than I would really care to admit, about 18 years, and I'm really rooting for this guy. I happen to think he's going to be the best thing coaching-wise that's ever happened to the Tampa Bay Bucs. They will win under Tony Dungy because he's dedicated and he can relate to today's young players.
And there are question marks with every team in the NFL, especially this time of year. And Tony Dungy's biggest question mark, I think, has to be Trent Dilfer at quarterback. Is he ready?
Well, he's the past question mark as far as Tony Dungy and the Buccaneers are concerned because he's really baggage. If he can't prove that he's the starting quarterback, I don't think Dungy and the Buccaneers should hesitate yanking him right out of there and putting Casey Weldon in. He's in the same situation as everybody else on this Buck team. They have to prove to Tony Dungy they deserve to play.
And, of course, a lot of people in the NFL say on the defensive side of the ball, the reason the Bucs should be improved this year is some young draft picks, the likes of Jones and Upshaw and Abraham. We'll see tonight.
Well, Jones is going to play a lot inside. Abraham's going to start at right cornerback against Dan Marino. That should be interesting for a rookie. And Chidi Yohanatu had the hand injuries out 2 to 3 weeks, so that opens up things for Reagan Upshaw to start against Richmond Webb, the all-pro left tackle for the Dolphins. So the young man will be under a lot of fire, but I think he's going to hold up well. He's a very quick, aggressive athlete.
And, oh, by the way, there's another head coach making his debut tonight, not in the NFL, but with this franchise. Jimmy Johnson's first game as head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and the experts, I don't know who they are, expect him to get close, if not win the Super Bowl.
Well, they need their head examined, Tom. I mean, this is a team that really doesn't have one thing Jimmy Johnson has to have, and that's speed. This is a slow, older Dolphin team. They are not going to win a Super Bowl with this roster.
So Jimmy Johnson and his Miami Dolphins taking on Tony Dungy and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the first of 2 meetings between these Florida Sunshine State rivals in the preseason. We'll be back with the opening kickoff as the Bucs lift the lid on a new preseason in a moment. 15 years as an NFL assistant, and his big moment has arrived.
Well, yeah, and this is really an interesting night for Tony Dungy from what he was talking about today, Tom. I mean, this is a night. He's got all kinds of young guys that have looked great the last 2 weeks. Looked good in a scrimmage situation against Jacksonville. Looked good in a couple days of practice against Miami. But it's totally different when you get live people out here. The lights are on, the TV cameras are on, and some of these guys who look so good tend to kind of go away.
Referee Gary Lane is conducting the toss of the coin. And there is Jimmy Johnson, of course, much as expected of Jimmy Johnson. The good news when you win 2 Super Bowls is you make a lot of money, everybody knows your name. The bad news is they expect you to do it every year.
Well, he has got this team's undivided attention. They made the mistake of complaining to him that they were going to be missing a few hours in their time off after this game, and he sort of blew a gasket on him yesterday and really ripped him like crazy, not only in meetings but also in the press down here in Miami. So he's got this team wondering if they're going to stay or go, which is pretty good for a new coach.
Well, the toss of the coin has been administered, and the Miami Dolphins won the toss, and they have elected to receive. So Tony Dungy's defense is going to get a crack at Dan Marino. We understand that the Dolphins, Randy, plan to play 4 quarterbacks tonight, and, of course, Marino will lead it all.
He will, and Bernie Kosar, which surprisingly is not going to play second. He's going to play as the 3rd quarterback, and they're going to have Dan McGuire in their number 2. There's a little method to Bernie Kosar's madness, so Bernie said that they're playing the starting offensive line 1st and 3rd quarter, so he wanted that line that Marino has in the 1st quarter for himself in the 3rd.
All right, Michael Husted is getting set to kick off for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's he, number 5. Back for the Miami Dolphins, number 15, Kirby Dardar out of the University of Syracuse, and also back there, Jarris McPhail. So it's Dardar and McPhail standing at the goal line. A good crowd on an 85-degree early evening here at Joe Robbie Stadium. No hint of rain right now. Husted with an end-over-end kick, and this will come down to the 1-yard line to Kirby Dardar. Avoids the first tackler, but is cut down inside the 20-yard line. Good play there by Tampa Bay's number 93, Demetrius DeBose, return of 19 yards. That's where the Dolphins will set up. And the Dolphins in front of Dan Marino, Richmond Webb, Keith Sims, Tim Ruddy, Chris Gray, and James Brown are the front 5. Irving Spikes has received a lot of praise from Jimmy Johnson of late. Stanley Pritchett, Kerry Cash, Scott Miller, Randall Hill, and of course the guy calling the signals, the Hall of Famer to be, Dan Marino. First and 10 for the 19, and Irving Spikes gets the first handoff. Over the 20, a loose football. The Buccaneers say they've got it. Let's see what the officials say.
The ball carrier was down by contact. 2nd down.
Well, Irving Spikes gets a break early.
Well, unfortunately for Irving, too, he's down. Looks like he was hurt on that play, but that is the way to get in Jimmy Johnson's doghouse, to put the ball on the ground.
And the defensive lineup for Tony Dungy: Lonnie March, Hardy Nickerson, Derek Brooks, Eric Curry, Brad Culpepper, Warren Sapp, Reagan Upshaw getting a start tonight. Backed up by Martin Mayhew, Donnie Abraham, number 21. Watch for him tonight, Todd Scott, and Melvin Johnson. The defensive lineup for Tony Dungy. And Irving Spikes, you know, Jimmy Johnson has been critical of much of his team so far, but Spikes is the one guy he singled out for praise.
Because he has been running incredibly hard and because he has not been putting the ball on the ground. That, ironically, was over the right side when we listed the starting lineups. James Brown is starting at right tackle over Billy Milner, and that puts right there, there's Warren Sapp, there's Curry. Sapp pushes the guard back into the backfield. I mean, no excuse there. That was not so much a contact fumble as that just sort of not bad ball maintenance by Spikes. So a good defense and bad job by the running back.
And Todd Scott came in late on that play and administered the hit to Spikes. Irving Spikes is not a big guy. He is 5'8", 206 pounds. In his fourth year professional in the National Football League, and he gets up. Scott, the man who made the hit. Spikes out of Northeast Louisiana, will take a quick seat.
Well, there's two people, I think, on this Buccaneer defense that are going to be ecstatic about Tony Dungy being in Tampa. They're Warren Sapp playing that under tackle back and forth. A lot of one-on-one blocking, which should be wonderful for Warren Sapp. And number two is whoever wins this free safety job, because in Tony Dungy's defense, that guy makes a lot of interceptions.
Second down, Marino quickly to pass, out on the flat, has his man tackled at the 26-yard line. Making the reception was Stanley Pritchett, the fullback, and Donnie Abraham on his first tackle of the evening.
You always got to wonder what's going through a young guy's mind. He's starting his first game as a rookie. Dan Marino is the quarterback. He's out there in the air. He's got to make a one-on-one tackle. Does a great job of breaking down and doing it, and he gets some good coaching, though, from Herman Edwards, the assistant head coach and defensive back coach for the Bucs.
Third down and 4 for the Dolphins. Ball on the 26-yard line. Just underway in the first preseason game. Flags all over the place. Free play for Marino, it appears, has his man for the first down, and that man is Terry Kirby, who is one of the more dependable running backs the past few years for Don Shula. And Jimmy Johnson hopes that that trend will continue. It's a 15-yard completion. It was offside on the Buccaneers.
Offsides, defense, right defensive end. Penalties decline. First down.
You know, if I think you're Tampa Bay right now, you've got to really concentrate on those running backs coming out of the backfield catching the ball. Dan Marino does not have much of a tight end arsenal to go to, so the majority of that inside passing game's got to go to the running back.
Reagan Upshaw, the guilty party on that penalty. First and 10 for Miami at the 41-yard line. And stuffed in the backfield is Terry Kirby. Among the first to meet him, Reagan Upshaw, number 73. Warren Sapp also in there on the play.
Reagan Upshaw's got a nice little challenge for himself today, and it started in preseason. He gets to work against Richmond Webb and company, but right here, Kerry Cash, the tight end, is trying to block on Upshaw. And that is that's a matchup Tony Dungy and the Buccaneers will take all night if they can get an offensive lineman away from their young defensive end and draw that double team down on the tackle Sapp.
Minus the 1 on the play, second down and 11. Kirby, the lone setback behind Marino. Give us to Kirby. He has next to nothing. Brought down there first by Hardy Nickerson, number 56. Nickerson, the 10-year veteran out of California.
You know, if you're looking for a real aerial show here, Tom, I mean, all kinds of talent and great stuff out of Dan Marino in this offense, or, you know, how well can Trent Dilfer get the ball down the field for the Bucs, you're not going to see it. Both these coaches tonight are going to run the ball, and if they can't do it, then they're going to run it again. And then if Tony Dungy can't do it, he's going to try it for a third and fourth and fifth time. They are going to prove a point to themselves and their players that they can run a football.
Third down and 8. Jimmy Johnson has been publicly saying he has a lot of concerns about his team, whether they can run it. We know Marino can throw it, and he hits his man over the middle. Scott Miller makes the catch. Melvin Johnson on the tackle. But the second big passing play of this drive gets it down to the Bucs' 33-yard line.
And this is something that really the situations that Jimmy Johnson and the Dolphins don't want to get into, and these are the situations that Tony Dungy really wants to get in. He wants long throwing situations. He knows he can get a pass rush going. He knows he can get one-on-one pass coverage, and Miller's starting tonight for O.J. McDuffie, who's got a bad hamstring.
First and 10 on the Buccaneers' 33-yard line for Marino and the Dolphins. Here's Irving Spikes. He's a slippery character, and he's down near the 25-yard line. Todd Scott bringing him down. Spike's got a lot of speed, and he's hard to find in there sometimes.
Well, he accelerates very well. And when you're running against the Tony Dungy defense, honestly, the place you want to go at is not outside. They're usually very fast. If you want to make your point, you want to make it inside between the tackles and hope that roaming middle linebacker, in this case Hardy Nickerson, overruns the run, and that's what happened.
Scott Miller and Randall Hill both out wide. Now Miller comes back toward the inside. A handoff to Spikes, and he didn't fool anybody, including the Buccaneers' Todd Scott, who caught him for a loss.
So you've already seen something out of Tampa Bay's defense. You're not going to see much of out of Miami's defense, and that's speed. They have got the ability to close down the corners, move off the ball, and shut things down. If you hesitate like you saw Kirby, they just kind of shuffle and hesitate a little bit, you're lost against this defense. You better hit it and get it.
Eric Curry, who is lining up at left defensive end, also helped put some pressure on the blocking scheme and break that play up. Bucs have looked good defending the run. Marino throwing the ball 3 out of 3, though, for 44 yards early. 3rd down and 3. Plenty of time for Marino. Now the pocket closes. The pass is caught and dropped to the 20-yard line, ruled incomplete. Hardy Nickerson was in on the coverage, and the intended receiver was Kerry Cash, the tight end.
He has time for shopping here, much less completing a pass. I mean, he goes first, second, third. You usually get a chance to watch Dan Marino in the pocket. Watch him pat the ball that many times, and it's got to be 4 seconds before Warren Sapp finally gets there at the last second and knocks him to the ground.
So a field goal attempt. Now Joe Nedney out of San Jose State. He'll put it down at the 34-yard line. 44-yard attempt, angled to the right. Good snap. Kick is long enough. And the kick is good. They know about Stoyanovich. They know what he can do kicking field goals. They wanted to find out about Nedney, and they found out on that try from 34 yards that he's good as gold. Dolphins take it early, 3-0 lead. Parts of the end zone. Nedney gives him a 3-0 lead, and Vernon Turner and company get ready for the kickoff from Stoyanovich.
And look for more of the same of what you saw out of Miami. They're going to
Stoyanovich on the field.
Nedney. All right, so about a 5-yard return, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take over from that spot. We'll be back with more from Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. The lower part of your screen. Morris Copeland to the right. The give is to Jerry Ellison. Ellison cuts back nicely over the 25 to the 28-yard line. Pickup of 6, almost 7 yards. Sean Wooden brought him down. Let's take a look at the group in front of Trent Dilfer, Paul Gruber, Jim Pine, Tony Mayberry, Ian Beckles, and the former Giant Doug Riesenberg now at right tackle. Backfield, Ellison, Tracy Johnson, Jackie Harris, the tight end, Alvin Harper and Horace Copeland are the wideouts. And the quarterback from Fresno State, Trent Dilfer. 3-year NFL veteran. Again, it's Ellison. Juking and jiving over the
quarterback. It's very much about the decisions he makes. It's very much about how much he hesitates when he makes those decisions and how well he's going to do at quarterback.
3rd down and 2 yards to go, let's call it. Trying to make is the 32-yard line. And off again to Ellison. So Ellison, the workhorse in this first drive. All depends where they mark it. Now they take a look, and it's 1st down and 10 for the Buccaneers. I think you're right about Dilfer. Nobody questions his athletic ability, but they want more consistency. And Ellison's been consistent on this drive.
Well, it was a good job by Ellison because there's not much running room. You got to call that squirming room. That was a run and a squirm, and that's how he got the 1st down.
So it's a 1st down at the 33-yard line for the Buccaneers. Just tuning in. But to be fair to Dilfer, he was throwing with a guy grabbing his shoulder.
It's hard to get any kind of oomph on a football when your feet and your face are going in one direction and the arm's trying to do it in the other direction. Watch the pressure coming from Singleton, the bottom of the screen, 55. Grabs him from the back, and you just can't do it. You can't throw like that. That's a situation, though, honestly, though, when you think about it, Tom, that maybe you sit aside with the Mike Shula in the film room tomorrow. And you say, now, Trent, maybe that's a situation where you want to throw that ball away and you don't throw it into that double coverage.
Horace Copeland was the intended receiver. A much safer play for Dilfer now, handing off to Jerry Ellison, who lugs it up to the 35-yard line. Ellison has been the horse so far on Tampa Bay's opening drive. On defense for the Dolphins, Hollier, Jack Del Rio back with Jimmy Johnson again. Chris Singleton, Darrell Gardner, Tim Bowens, Mel Agee, and Daniel Stubbs, a real find for the Dolphins via the free agent market. Buckley, J.D. Brown, Michael Stewart, and Sean Wooden round out the defensive setup for Jimmy Johnson. Third down at 8. 4 wideouts for Tampa Bay. Plenty of time for Dilfer. Has his man for a first down at the 49-yard line, and his man is Courtney Hawkins. Gene Atkins makes the tackle on Hawkins.
A very good decision here by Dilfer. No hesitation and a good completion. You see him patting the ball like that. That's a little something a quarterback coach is going to want to take a look at. They're not usually too crazy about you giving a read to your defensive backs like that, patting the ball. But he made the decision. He knew where to go with it, and he delivered it.
Courtney Hawkins was a free agent, decided to re-sign with the Buccaneers. 5-year man out of Michigan State. Ellison again. Lots of running room for Jerry Ellison. Doesn't close up until he gets it to the 45-yard line, where Jack Del Rio helped to bring him down on the infield part of the setup here at Joe Robbie.
You know, people that have watched the Bucs in the past, they're very familiar with the fact that Jerry Ellison last year averaged 8.4 yards a carry when he got his chances in for Eric Rhett, and Eric Rhett's not playing tonight because he did just end to hold out, as we covered in the pre-game show pretty thoroughly. But you know, Ellison is a great surprise and somebody that puts a little pressure on the Eric Rhett situation if he is very successful.
Fake to Ellison on 2nd and 4. They try to go out of the backfield, but the pass goes awry. It was intended for Tracy Johnson. Dwight Hollier there on the coverage. Brings up a 3rd down and 4.
That's a little something Tracy Johnson could bring to this offense. You know, he is a very good receiving fullback out of the backfield. And Dungy thinks it'd be a great influence on the rookie Mike Allstott, too, out of Purdue. Because Allstott can do a lot of things that Johnson can do, but not quite as well. He's going to be a great teacher.
Horace Copeland split out. Wide to one side, Alvin Harper the other. 4 wideouts on 3rd and 4. Pressure is coming on Dilfer. Moves up over the middle and overthrows his receiver. Leonard Green. I'm sorry, check that. Number 81, Jackie Harris, the tight end, was the intended receiver, but Dilfer just overthrew him.
See, Tony, they're encouraging it. That's okay. That's all right. You move the ball. You put a little pressure on the guys, and we're going to get a chance to bury the Miami offense back a little deeper here.
Tommy Barnhart, the punter, and back in single safety is Terrell Buckley. He's standing on his 10-yard line. Now, O.J. McDuffie would ordinarily would perform these duties, but he's a little bit nicked up.
A little bad hamstring. In the first preseason game's a bad place to risk injury to a real good starter.
And Barnhart's punt is halfway into the end zone anyway. This will go for a touchback with 5 minutes and 36 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Still the only scoring, a 43-yard field goal. The Dolphins lead it 3-0.
Injury report goes this way. The big story is to Chidi Ahanatu. He hurt himself, broke a bone in his hand earlier this week. He'll be out for at least 3 weeks. As we take a look at the rest of the injury list, running back Mike Allstott has a rib injury. He's dressed. He'll only play in an emergency. Charles Dimry, same type of injury. Of all the guys on this list, though, it was Allstott who told coaches he's got to play tonight because he wants to make the team. Guys, I don't think he needs to worry about it.
Maybe he hasn't cashed that check yet.
Well, we'll look forward to the home opener against Atlanta, hopefully to see Mike Allstott there. As Marino and the Dolphins start their second series, Irving Spikes was down by contact, got back up. He's going to be disappointed in the spot, Randy. He was down at the 21-yard line.
Once that knee's on the ground, you don't have to exactly tackle the guy. You only got to touch him.
Todd Scott.
And that's one part of the game where Jimmy Johnson is desperate to get something going. And right there, Todd Scott got his hand on him as he was struggling up off the ground. And I don't know if that was exactly right, but it was close.
Bucs will take it. 2nd down and 9. 1-yard gain for Spikes. Fake to Spikes. Marino. Speaking of Spikes, had his slip on the infield dirt, and that may have affected his delivery as the incomplete pass. Reagan Upshaw was in there on Marino.
defensive players hate those infields, Tom. I mean, non-athletes like offensive linemen like I was, we don't really mind it because you can't handicap a non-athlete in the dirt. But you get these quick, fast guys that can wiggle and move. You know, Reagan Upshaw's got some great wiggle and move at the defensive end, but when you get on dirt and it gets slick, that wiggle and move goes down, and all of a sudden that big, heavy Richmond Webb in front of you gets about twice as big.
You mean when you were a pulling guard with the Niners, you didn't like playing on Candlestick? In the infield?
In the swamp?
Marino with a shotgun. Penalty flags it down, and they're going to stop the play right now because the penalty occurred before the snap. Illegal procedure. The initial call. James Brown may have been the guilty party. Dan Marino said he has done more running in this preseason under Jimmy Johnson than he's done in years.
Well, you know, Dan Marino, I think for Dan Marino to run to the line of scrimmage.
False start. Offense. Number 76 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
You know, I think it's more of a token thing. I mean, he's participating. I don't know if he's exactly trying to kill himself, but if you're Jimmy Johnson and you're this staff, you want to conserve as much of number 13's energy as you can, because you know it's going to be a year, 2, maybe 3 before Jimmy Johnson can fulfill the plan he's got for this franchise, and that makes Dan Marino about 37 years old by that time.
That's the one thing I think Johnson recognizes, that it's going to take him longer than most people think it should here in Miami, and he's going to be under the microscope every week. People are going to be charting his progress. There's no Herschel Walker to trade away and get all those draft picks down here.
Or Mike Lynn to make the deal.
Again, Marino's pass goes through the hands of the intended receiver, and the intended receiver on that play was Scott Miller.
We got the fans here in Miami obviously saying, gee, that must have been pass interference because our guy that eventually got near the ball was being hit from behind, but the ball was tipped first by Miller here at number 83, and once that ball is tipped, that next receiver is fair game. That was not pass interference, and that's something Dan Marino does better than anybody in the league, and a Trent Dilfer can learn from a Dan Marino, the way he can slide and move and go forward when he passes.
John Kidd back to punt, standing at his goal line. Vernon Turner in single safety for the Bucs. Turner heading toward the left sideline, makes the fair catch at the 38-yard line, is run into by one of his own men, but no penalty flags are down, and the Buccaneers will take it 1st and 10 near the 38. Charles Wilson was the man who was bumped in to Vernon Turner. We'll be back for more from Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. Dilfer, who has started 18 games in his NFL career, including all 16 a year ago, has his second chance tonight, and Randy's got good field position at the 38.
Yeah, he really does. And you know, this is a situation here where Dungy and Mike Shula are not going to get extremely greedy and try to do something, I think, crazy, though. You know, as a football fan, this is where I want to say, play action, go deep, give it to Alvin Harper.
Ellison, the only running back. He gets the ball. He's got the corner almost turned. Brought down at the last minute by Terrell Buckley, who has pretty good speed himself. Ellison almost beat him around the corner.
And we just saw a little bit of what you're going to see. An awful lot out of the Bucs in the preseason, and honestly during the regular season. They are going to commit to the running game. They're going to use their halfbacks, whether it's Ellison or finally Eric Rett when he gets in off this whole situation with his contract. And honestly, that's a smart thing to do because they can't put all the pressure on their quarterback position because the position really can't handle it at this point.
Ellison again plugging the football for a 1st down, but he takes some punishment. Knocked out of bounds there by Sean Wooden, number 22 in the aqua and blue, but Tampa Bay moves into Miami territory or darn close to it.
And it's good movement by the entire Tampa Bay offense. You see they all start off on that sweep left situation, and when you can get your halfback that far down the field before he gets hit, it doesn't matter he got hit hard. Jerry Ellison was 78 yards down the field before that rookie Wooden got a chance to put a helmet in his face.
Copeland and Alvin Harper on 1st down. Dilfer looking for Harper on the sidelines all the way, and Harper was well covered there by J.B. Brown, and the pass was off the mark anyway. You could see where Dilfer was looking all the time, even before the snap almost.
Yeah, I think a lot of times that's a little misunderstood. You know, people always criticizing quarterbacks about, you know, they don't look off the safety or they're always looking where they're supposed to go. A lot of times by formation and by design, offensive coordinators make their quarterbacks limit the field to half a field. There's nowhere else for them to look.
Second down and 10. Passing situation. Dilfer plenty of time. Throws the ball up the field. Right sideline, and it's caught. Inside the 10 by Horace Copeland as he beat Terrell Buckley. Horace Copeland, who made so many big plays for the Buccaneers a year ago, does it again.
There's a little how do you like me now pass out of Trent Dilfer. He's getting the pressure around him. He steps up into the pocket, does a little bit of that slide action I talked about Dan Marino doing, and just lays this one out perfectly. When you can put a ball from 50 yards away right on the wristbands at the beginning of those gloves, you laid it out in the perfect spot for a guy like Copeland to bring it in.
That wasn't bad coverage by Buckley, but he's 5'9". Copeland is a little bit taller than that at 6'3". Ellison on first down and goal. Negligible yardage, if any. Stewart and Hollier meet him at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Buckley also is a guy you want to try to find if you're an offensive coordinator and you're a quarterback that might be struggling. I mean, Buckley has got a history of not being extremely physical as a cover man. So you have a big receiver, you can get around him and you can work him like that.
Second down and goal at the 7-yard line. There's a look at Terrell Buckley, fifth-year player out of Florida State. 5'9", 176 pounds. And Trent Dilfer wants a timeout with 2 minutes and 12 seconds
Tampa Bay
left to go here in the first quarter.
This is the perfect situation on the football field in an offense for a tight end or a slanting wide receiver. And they've got two great ones in Tampa. Tony Dungy has got Jackie Harris, one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL. And Alvin Harper, at his size and his strength, could almost run through anybody in this league defensive back-wise to get this quick of a slant.
While we have a moment, we've seen Ellison run the ball with effectiveness here tonight. Let's take another look at Dan Dilfer as he's looking right. I believe this is the replay of the 43-yard completion. This one to Copeland.
Look at that spiral. I mean, there have been plenty of quarterbacks in this league. Billy Kilmer didn't throw that long a spiral in any one quarter of his career, much less anything else. He was off to a decent start with that long completion, 57 yards. What Tony Dungy wants out of his quarterback position is not to beat him. His job is not to lose games. It isn't to win games. It's to put the rest of the team in a position where they can win. Just don't lose them.
So it's third down and goal out from the 7. Harper and Copeland are both split to the left side. Dilfer back foot slid. Maybe that had something to do with the errant pass towards Alvin Harper. It landed well in front of Harper. Mel Agee was putting the pressure on Trent Dilfer.
Well, you know the old saying, all dressed up and nowhere to go? He was all set up and had nowhere to go. That was a good job of coverage by the Miami Dolphins. Because watch the feet hop around and move. And when you can get a quarterback up on his toes trying to throw over a defensive lineman like that, that pass is either going to be tipped or it's going to be inaccurate, and it was tipped.
Third down and goal from the 7. Agee was the man who tipped that pass intended for Harper. Looking to the left for Harper. He has it for a touchdown. Alvin Harper, and he slam dunks it over the goalpost.
Just what the doctor ordered for Alvin Harper after a frustrating year last year, right off the get-go in the preseason. And I don't care if it doesn't count. To Alvin Harper, an early touchdown counts.
7-yard touchdown pass to Harper. There is an injured Miami Dolphin in the end zone. That's Sean Wooden, the safety, number 22.
And watch, exactly what we talked about. Big, physical receiver in Alvin Harper. Send him inside. I mean, J.B. Brown, 37, really has little or no chance once Harper positions those shoulders and gets inside of him. And not to mention the fact that the only receivers and running backs have the ability, along with defensive backs mostly, in a football uniform to slam dunk a basketball over the crossbar.
Well, he's 6'4", Harper, so he's tall enough. We know that. He's out of Tennessee. And Alvin Harper's the guy. Of course, the Buccaneers gave him that big multi-million-dollar contract a year ago. He got hurt in the first preseason game and never really was on track. He wants 100 catches this year, Randy. He makes no bones about it. He wants the football more.
Well, he's never been the guy. As the number 2 guy 2 years ago in Dallas, he averaged almost 25 yards a catch. You know, last year he averaged 13.8 yards a catch, had 600 and something yards. But look at the big picture. He had pretty good yards for him in his career. Can he make the next step up? He needs help on the other side. He's not going to be the guy because one guy can get shut down.
This is Sean Wooden you're looking at. He's a 6th-round draft pick for the Dolphins out of Notre Dame. had a good scrimmage against the Washington Redskins a couple of weeks back, but Wooden has been lying there near the goal line for several minutes. There's Alvin Harper celebrating his touchdown and telling everybody how he did it.
Well, how he did it was he got inside position. There was nothing J.B. Brown could do, and he got a little helmet-to-chest contact there by Wooden. And just to be safe here, we're going to bring the stretcher out for Sean Wooden.
Of course, every National Football League stadium now is equipped with everything you need in a medical emergency, including x-ray machines and technicians and ambulance personnel stationed right here. And Wooden has not moved, and we don't want to read anything into that.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's part of football. It's one of the things you don't like to think about when you're playing football.
So Michael Husted is in to attempt the extra point after the Harper touchdown. And he puts it through the upright. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left to go in this first quarter, have taken a 7-3 lead in this football game. Michael Husted, place kicking, is one area that I don't think Tony Dungy should be too concerned about. Husted, they question his length, but if you get the ball deep enough, he's a pretty accurate kicker.
You know, kicking is one of the spots you probably address last when you're coming into a situation. I think really, talent-wise, Tony Dungy has got something that Jimmy Johnson wants, and I keep talking about, and that's speed with his Tampa Bay team. And what you really want to address if you're Tony Dungy immediately, I think more than anything else, is the attitude. You know, because when you're used to losing, you become a little bit of a dog. And the biggest challenge for Tony and his new staff here in Tampa is to sort of bleed that dog out of the Tampa Bay Bucs and make them believe they can win, make them believe in what Tony and the staff want to do.
Well, of course, all those consecutive years of double-digit losses, broken last year with a 7-9 record, and wins against some quality teams, including the Green Bay Packers. They want to try and build on that and be positive as Husted gets set to move into the ball. Kirby Dardar and Jarris McPhail back. And it's Dardar 6 yards deep. McPhail says, I think you better take the touchback, and that's what will happen. Well, we have an update now on the condition of Miami's Sean Wooden. Let's go to Pat. Pat?
The injury to cornerback Sean Wooden, he's conscious right now, but they say it's a neck sprain. He's been taken underneath the stands to be x-rayed. We'll update you a little bit later on.
All right, a neck sprain. We'll hopefully have more information from the Dolphins a little bit later on.
Yeah, spraining anything like a neck, like when they refer to minor surgeries, minor surgery is something that happens to somebody else. And a neck sprain is the least of the terms you want to use when it happens to you. It's always serious when it involves a neck.
Dan Marino in on the third series of the night for the Dolphins. Irving spikes over the 20 to around the 22-yard line. Gain of 2. First to hit him in there for Tampa Bay, Marcus Jones, along with Demetrius DeBose.
Well, we'll get a pretty good look at some of these young defensive linemen for Tampa Bay. Marcus Jones getting double-teamed in the middle. Demetrius DeBose filling in from the inside linebacker position. And, you know, that's the defensive lineman's job here in this Tony Dungy defense. You're supposed to strip away the blockers and let the linebackers make the tackles.
Marcus Jones, the other #1 pick, along with Reagan Upshaw. He's out of North Carolina. Here's the pass in the flat to Spikes, and a good job initially, but Spikes breaks the tackle. Oh, I'll tell you who had him wrapped up and didn't lock down was Tyrone Leggett, the former New Orleans Saint. That allows Spikes to break loose for the first down. Abraham and Curry had to bring him down.
Yeah, not only will you have been a former Saint, you're going to be a former something else for any team early in the preseason if you're not wrapping up and making tackles, especially on a team you're trying to make an impression and you're trying to get some work done. Part of the credit goes to Irving Spikes for a tough run, but a lot of the credit has to go to bad tackling.
Marino into the left flat, and a nice hit out there by Donnie Abraham on the intended receiver, Scott Miller. He separated Miller from the football.
Good timing play. That was one of the, in baseball, it's your bang-bang at first base. Ball got there, and so did Abraham exactly at the same time. That's one of those things you can't really teach and coach closing on a football. Great corners or good corners know how to close on the football. They have that burst. And that's exactly the kind of burst you saw out of Abraham right there.
And Abraham, he's a little guy, but he got up in the face of the intended receiver. He jumped the ladder. Surprise. Here's Irving Spikes. He will go nowhere. Warren Sapp brought him down for a loss back at the 30-yard line. Derek Brooks hit him initially.
Yeah, well, Warren Sapp's kind of the garbage man on that play. I mean, Everybody else did all the work, and Sapp got to jump over the top and do the little bit of the glory. Sapp gets here last, but look at that job right there by Brooks. He puts that little stone right in the middle of Irving Spike's face, and then Sapp just sort of jumps over the top and cleans him up.
Derek Brooks nursing a little bit of a rib problem, but not enough to keep him out of the lineup, and that was the last play of the first quarter. Here at Joe Robbie Stadium, so far so good for the Bucs in their preseason opener. 7-yard touchdown pass to Harper has him on top of Jimmy Johnson's Dolphins. Semis and Randy Cross with you, our season opener, Bucs preseason football on UPN 44, and always plenty of lovely ladies in South Florida, Randy.
Never a shortage in this stadium. The Miami's one of the teams very well known by the players around the league for their cheerleaders.
And we'll leave it at that. First,
well, not that they notice that kind of thing, but you know, seriously, though, Warren Sapp, we've already seen a lot more of a presence in a quarter of football. And he made the statement, you know, earlier this month, as training camp's gone on, you know, how disappointed he was in his performance last year. Before we went in commercial, you saw his stats from last year. What he's going to love, and I've said it already a couple times, he's going to get a lot of one-on-one blocking in this defense. And he gets it. He has to take advantage of it.
Marino's still in there at the start of the second quarter on 3rd down and 11. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson wants him to finish this drive. Just takes 2 steps and lets a rip over the middle, overthrew the receiver. I believe the intended receiver was Lamar Thomas, the former Buck. But it was over his head, and Warren Sapp was putting some pressure on.
You know the main reason you're seeing Marino in that starting offense at the beginning of the second quarter is because of the fact they're not running the ball very well. Spikes has put the ball on the ground. Dan Marino's done what Dan Marino has always done. That's throw very well when he gets the time and the opportunity. Jimmy Johnson is not very happy right now with the running game of the Miami Dolphins.
Well, the Dolphins haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher for goodness knows how long. They've been searching forever for a dominant running back. Vernon Turner, meanwhile, gets under this John Kidd punt at the 15, has some room initially, has to zig and zag. He's given up ground, but now he may have an opening. Gets a block or two, and a crushing block to bring Turner over the 30-yard line. What a block by the Buccaneers, number 54, Darnell Stevens. As Turner ran all the way across the field and up the sideline to the 30.
As you're laying in bed at night, the night before your first preseason game, you're trying to make an impression on the coaches the next night. You dream about shots like this. Watch 54. Right there, you saw him blur through the field. He just cleaned a clock. And that's the kind of thing you really want to see.
Well, there was an ineligible man downfield, we understand.
On the kicking team, number 54. Penalties decline. First down.
And with the excellent return by Turner, the Buccaneers will decline that penalty and have it 1st and 10 at the 32. Just underway here in the second quarter. We'll be underway with another Buccaneers drive in a moment.
And who gets him? He's going to take a little grief when it comes time tomorrow to look at the tape, because the kicker, he did run over the kicker, but the kicker got him to go out of bounds.
I thought the kicker, John Kidd, showed a lot of moxie, a lot of guts.
He broke down, made the tackle, and bowled over.
On 1st down, Dilfer hands the ball off to number 34, Leroy Thompson, and Thompson is brought down by Singleton.
And Thompson's had an opportunity to impress this staff with his running ability, because Dungy and company brought Thompson in basically as a 3rd down type of running back. And, I mean, he has had running experience. Back in '93, he had 763 yards for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's a guy that is familiar with carrying the ball.
2nd down and 8. Dilfer tries to pick it up with a pass that may have hit the turf before it got to the receiver. Trent Dilfer begs to differ, but it will be an incomplete pass to Copeland. J.B. Brown on the cover.
Well, it was a 12-yard route and 11-yard pass. 1 yard skip.
That doesn't add up. 1 yard on the skip. Well, the spiral was never evident there. Copeland did a nice job to try and make something out of nothing. Bringing up another passing down at 3rd and 8. It's very humid tonight. It's always a possibility. Sometimes the ball just will slip out of your hand. The right foot slipped on the dirt, but it doesn't keep Dilfer from completing the pass for a 1st down. And we're trying to get the name of the receiver for you. That's Alvin Hart. No, that's Copeland. Morris Copeland brought it in. 17-yard pass.
Well, watch here. It's not just in the dirt where a defensive player can slip. They also slip on this grass surface. But you'll see Colpin's the only one left standing, and J.B. Brown, as he goes down to the dirt, or grass in this case, has to recover.
So picking up the first down, the Buccaneers just inside Miami territory at the 49, leading this game 7-3. Leroy Thompson gets through the initial burst inside the 45 to the 44-yard line. Gene Atkins and Michael Stewart bring it down.
Remember we talked a little while ago, Tom, about don't hesitate when you get between the tackles. Just go ahead and go. Here's a lot of go ahead and go. This is just getting the ball, seeing a hole, taking it, and taking the hit. That's the kind of running it's really got Tony Dungy and the coaching staff's attention for Thompson.
Thompson played for the Steelers, New England, and Kansas City. As Randy mentioned, his best year with the Steelers back in '93. And here's Thompson again on the pitch out, looking for that first down yardage inside the 40. This Singleton stops him, and they'll take a look. It appears to be enough for the first down.
The one thing that's really jumping out at me right now is something we talked about, and that's the intensity. Tony Dungy has got this Tampa Bay team on offense and defense, playing with the forward lean, playing with a little swagger, and playing with some intensity. And on the exact opposite side of that coin right now is the Dolphin team that's doing a lot of catching on defense and a lot of giving on offense.
Here's Leroy Thompson again. Well, we saw Ellison dominate the first series of the game for Tampa Bay. Leroy Thompson dominating now as Atkins and Pritchett bring him down.
Yeah, there's a face you don't want to have to look into right now if you're a Miami Dolphins player, because that is not a happy camper.
Most people feel that Jimmy Johnson will get it done here, but I think the ones that feel he'll get it done this year, and that's not off tonight's performance at all. I just can't see them beating out either Buffalo or Indianapolis in the AFC. They just can't see that.
Right, they just don't have enough of that kind of play in Miami. Jimmy Johnson does not have the speed he needs. I mean, it's really hard. He's a good, solid football player, a good defensive lineman. He is not a fast defensive lineman. He makes a quick slant here and gets in the backfield to take down Thompson. But they would really love to have the speed that Tony Dungy has got at his disposal on the defensive side of the ball for Tampa.
Throwing situation for Dilfer on 3rd down and 5. Got the time, gets it away. Is it enough for the first down? I don't think so. Making the catch is Dave Moore, the tight end. Alvin Jackson and Zach Thomas on the coverage.
Now, this is just a case right now of a receiver being in the wrong place. His job is to know where those chains are and to make the catch. Just take a look at the young guy Odom out of Florida. Got a steal in the 4th round. Here's exactly what you want a young lineman to do. You see where he shoved the guy down inside and then shuffled back out? That's an example of what people are always talking about, a lineman's feet. That's good feet for a young guy.
Well, the first 4th down and short for Tony Dungy as the head coach, and he's going for it. Thompson stuck in the middle of the line and brought down for a loss by Jack Del Rio, and the Dolphins take over on down.
My God! There's Mysterio. There's the American males who didn't home.
Absolutely. Michael Houston would have been in there. The Buccaneers still lead it 7-3. Tony Dungy's got to be pleased, I think, what he's seen running the football tonight, Randy, and also on the defensive side of the ledger.
And don't be fooled by the picture you're looking at. I mean, Tony is pleased. He's not going to always be the most demonstrative person. You won't be able to read his emotions on his face very often, but his team has got a good, solid quarter under their belt, playing with a lot of emotion.
Dan Marino's night is done. You're looking at Dan McGuire and his first handoff of the night. And he'll give the ball off to for 42, Terry Kirby, for negligible yardage. Flag on the play.
No sooner does the second unit come in for on offense for Miami, we got flags in the air.
Demetrius DuBose on the tackle. McGuire's an interesting
defense. Number 97 lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty.
5-yard penalty, first down and 5. McGuire's interesting. He's 6'8", Randy. Got the size out of San Diego State, but he's been in this league a while and has really accomplished very little.
Well, so far he's proved beyond a shadow of a doubt he has the perfect size for a power forward in the NBA. But hasn't proved much as a quarterback.
He is not fast. He is a target. 3 for 5 in a recent scrimmage against the Redskins for 43 yards. Got some help from the penalty. Here's Kirby again. Kirby over the 35, short of the first down. Derek Brooks out of Florida State brought him down.
Very important part of any running play is the backside of a running play. If it's shoved and it's closed down back onside, like Jones and company did onside, you got to protect the backside. In that case, it was not there. There's a guy in the game right now for Tampa that I watched the last couple of days doing very, very good. Tyoka Jackson, 97, go offside 2 places.
Kirby needed 2 yards to get the first down. I believe he got it. He's down at the 39-yard line, and there's a look at the aforementioned Jacksons. Tyoka Jackson, number 97.
He's another one of those guys, just like Upshaw next to him, 73. He's a little hit and wiggle guy. He's not a big, powerful guy, but he's going to be a kind of defensive lineman that Tony Dungy likes to put over the outside shoulder of a guard because he can make people miss.
First and 10 for the Dolphins at the 39, 7-3 Buccaneer lead. McGuire the play fake, but remember, he's not fast. Still dumps the ball off, but this will be for a loss back at the 38-yard line. The receiver for Miami was the tight end, number 84, Joe Klanansky.
That's really a position that Jimmy Johnson is going to have to do something about. He's got to get himself a tight end he can really rely on. He's got Kerry Cash, but he needs at least one more guy at that position in Miami.
Well, he could have used Johnny Mitchell, but he stayed for about half a week.
Well, he got about as much work out of him as you really could expect out of Mitchell. I think he put in about what he should have. I think the whole New York experience ruined Johnny Mitchell.
Keyshawn Johnson, are you listening? Second down and 11. McGuire. Not looking too well, frankly, on that throw intended for A.C. Tellison, who was open.
It was high, but it was wide.
Oh, man. Let's hope he's not wired to us up here.
Well, he's wired to that guy right there, and it's very important to be wired to that guy. The timing's a little bit off right now for the Miami offense, and you got to give part of that credit to the job that the cornerbacks are doing for Tampa. Tony Dungy made the comment that he was going to play more man-to-man style of defense this year than they've seen in the past in Tampa. If you can disrupt that timing, you can disrupt this sort of an offense.
3 wideouts and a slot back on third down and 11. McGuire dumps it off. He dumps it off to Lamar Thomas, and Thomas is tackled before he makes the first down marker. Making the wrapping up at the end was Lonnie Martz, who got over there and brought him down.
Just a drag across. He started on the outside, on the left side, dragged all the way underneath. Watch this block coming up right here. That is nice contact. The block was made by Miller, 83, but you got to give the credit to the Bucs defense in pursuit.
And Marvin Marshall back in single safety for John Kidd's punt. Marshall inside his 10-yard line at the 5. Doesn't call the fair catch. Marshall gets about 2 yards. Finally being wrestled down there by Miami's Frank Wainwright. Reserve tight end, so a good kick by Kidd. And a good coverage by Wainwright. That's where the Buccaneers will start out after the 46-yard punt.
He broke it. He had to get rid of him. And now he's, well, taking his shots with Miami.
All right, Pat Boyle, thanks a lot. First and 10 for the Bucs, but they're backed up in the shadow of the goal line at the 8-yard line. Thompson and Fred Lester, the running backs. And here's Leroy Thompson again, number 34, and a good run up the middle. Just short of the 15-yard line, Gene Atkins made the tackle.
You know, Pat talks about, Lamar Thomas and the whole situation. It's amazing this time of the year, players get attitudes about organizations picking on them. And that is not very true. I have hardly ever seen a coach cut a player. Most players cut themselves by either the way they act, the way they talk, the way they play. Coaches don't have to cut people. They usually overload their lizard rear ends with their alligator mouth.
Can I quote you on that? Roy Thompson over the 15. Just about a yard gain. Odom and Pine trying to open up the hole. Didn't work that time. Daniel Stubbs made the tackle, and Stubbs is an interesting character as you look at Thompson. Stubbs played great last year for the Eagles, played for Jimmy Johnson in Dallas. Johnson let him go, but he's brought him back because he sees something.
Well, he played for Jimmy at Miami.
Yep,
played well for Miami. Jimmy cut him because of his attitude in Dallas. He bounced around a few places. He had been in San Francisco originally. And he knows this is his last shot, and he's playing like it.
He played well last year for the Eagles, got some people to notice him, and here he is back in Miami with his old college coach. Here's Dilfer for a first down, and maybe a lot more. The receiver is number 85, Courtney Hawkins. And Lewis Oliver may have saved a touchdown up near midfield.
Remember those key terms, indecision and hesitation. And right now you're not seeing very much out of either one. Out of Trent Dilfer. He's looking, he's finding what he wants to see, and when he sees it, he's getting rid of the ball and getting to where the ball needs to be. I mean, that's a perfect position pass because the ball is overplayed by the defensive back, and your receiver is right where he needs to be.
And Calvin Jackson, second-year man out of Auburn, was used on that play. Wide open is the tight end for Tampa Bay, Dave Moore. Inside the Dolphin 45-yard line to the 43, Gene Atkins finally ends the play.
Good contrast there. You see a wide receiver the play before, breaks the tackle, spins out, and goes for 15 yards. There you saw a difference between being a tight end and a wide receiver. Because when a tight end tries to spin out and go for yards, the spin out usually gets you more hits, not more yards, just more helmets in your face afterwards. So here's the spin. Now here come the helmets. Got one helmet, got two helmets. About time to go down before the rest of them get there.
Don't they ever learn? Come on.
There is such a thing as getting down to live a fight another day.
Roy Thompson on the handoff for negligible yardage. Where are they going to mark this? Just short of the 40-yard line. And there is Mike Shula. There is a Shula in the house after all, and he's on the Buccaneers staff as offensive coordinator.
Well, actually, he's not the only Shula here in the house for the first regular season game. I'm sure there's got to be another famous Shula family member somewhere in this stadium that watches son.
Yes, Don Shula is here tonight, but trying to find out where he is sitting is like trying to crack the CIA.
Well, he's somewhere very comfortable, well back from where a camera can get to him, and I'm sure he's extremely excited about the job both his sons are doing in the NFL. David doing a great job with the Bengals, and Mike with Tampa Bay.
It's going to be interesting to see how the Bengals are if Kijana Carter can stay healthy, because they were expecting so much out of him last year. Never had a chance to see him work.
Well, the problem is they might have to score 45 points every game because their defense still hasn't stopped some teams from last year.
First and 10, you saw the measurement. Tony Dungy again. He's the great stone face. You won't see a lot of emotion on his face. You can tell how Jimmy Johnson is feeling just by looking at him.
Yeah. Well, you know, having known Tony for a while, Tony will let you know what he thinks. Jimmy's going to scream and yell. Tony the other day screamed and yelled at his guys from close quarters. He said they kind of whispered at him.
Well, the running back, Lloyd Thompson, who's been a workhorse in the second quarter, brought down about the 37-yard line. O.J. Brigance and Darrell Gardner. Gardner, one of the Dolphin draft picks they're anxious to see, made the stop.
Well, it's a great opportunity for this coaching staff to get a look at all their running backs. Jerry Ellison featured in the first half. A real quick, darting, smaller guy that gets a little more action when he runs. Leroy Thompson, quite a bit different. A little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, runs with a little bit more forward motion.
Second down at 6 yards to go. Thompson again. Thompson to the left, Thompson to the right, Thompson up the middle for the most part. With a few passes sprinkled in there. Still not first down yardage. Zach Thomas to tackle.
Well, when you've got a team with guys like Gruber, Mayberry, Beckel, and you've got an offensive lineman like Riesenberg who's come in with the Tampa Bay Bucs at right tackle, you want to use those big, strong bodies. And Tony Dungy is going to use those great, big, strong bodies just to lean on people.
Jason Odom getting a lot of playing time for the Bucs at that right tackle spot. They know what Doug Riesenberg can do. They want to find out what the Gator rookie can do. So far, he's doing well. Gilfer looking for the first down. Was the catch made by Copeland? Yes, it was. It's first down, Tampa Bay. Terrell Buckley brought him down.
Yeah, we talk about the size of Alvin Harper at 6'4". Horace Copeland, 6'3", 202. Even stretching out and getting ready to lay down, he's quite a sizable target for Dilfer.
Tony Dungy feels this could be a breakout year for Horace Copeland, who played collegiately at the University of Miami. You see his average in this first preseason game. Last year, he averaged over 17 yards a catch.
Well, it's one of the great things, if there's truly some great things about being in a situation like this, Tom, with a team that hasn't had much success, you get every opportunity in the world to prove yourself and what you can do.
2-minute warning here at Joe Robbie Stadium. Not many points on the board, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the majority. They lead it 7-3. Wisconsin, Paul Gruber, is he done for the night? He's not injured.
Well, that's always a good way to look at it. If he's still wearing gloves and there's tape on those gloves, there's always a chance you can go back in. If you're a veteran offensive lineman, you take that tape and those gloves on, they can't get you in there with a catapult.
You know from experience.
With a size like that, you need a big catapult.
First down and 10 for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Dilfer and company at the 27-yard line. Play action pass over the middle was tipped at the line of scrimmage, so never had a chance for the completion. Tim Bowens was in there for Miami, putting pressure on Dilfer. Daniel Stubbs also.
Well, Tampa Bay right now is taking advantage of a weak part of the Miami defense, and that's pass pressure. This is not a case of great pass protection or great pass rush so much. I mean, the ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage right there, mainly is the biggest problem by Mel Agee, who's only been here a couple of days. I mean, that was not a protection problem.
That's Agee's second tip pass of the night. It was Stubbs who was putting the pressure on the quarterback. Bowens was not involved. Here's the short run by Ellison. And Sean Hill, the safety, comes up to make the tackle for Miami.
You know, defensive linemen like that can drive coaches, quarterbacks, and linemen crazy. You've got a guy 5-6 yards from the quarterback. You're absolutely killing this guy. He manages to get a hand up and block a pass. Doesn't do it 2-3 times during the game. Doesn't make a tackle. And the next day in the newspaper, all you read about is how this guy dominated your offense.
Third down and 4. Dilfer with time has to unload now in a hurry as the pocket collapsed on him. Sean Hill came in to pressure. And there may have been some holding going on here. Dolphins sideline is upset.
Well, Jimmy's screaming, Tom, that they dropped it.
Oh,
the officials are calling it a catch. Jimmy's saying he's not. He's going for a second opinion for the other official. Oh, no. You know what this brings on, don't you?
Yes, we're going to have a conference.
The dreaded conference. Nice job by Trent Dilfer hanging into the last second. From that angle, I think it looks like he caught it.
Well, we'll see what they say. I don't think he did.
Well, they're moving back.
On the play is an incomplete pass. Please put 7 seconds back on the clock to 58 seconds. 58 seconds on the clock.
Well, the math would tell you that there should be 60 seconds on the clock because there's 53. 53 and 7 is 60, but we'll settle for 58. So it's ruled an incomplete pass. The line of scrimmage is back at the 21-yard line, and Husted will come in to attempt the field goal. This will be a 38-yard attempt. Angle to the right.
One of the ignored byproducts of the team that doesn't have much of a pass rush. If you can't rush the passer, you usually aren't very good at blocking kicks either.
Tommy Barnhart, who's the punter, he'll be the holder here for Husted. Barnhart gets the high snap down. It is long enough, and it is good. So Tony Dungy and the Tampa Bay Bucs, thanks to Husted's 38-yard field goal, have taken a touchdown lead over the Miami Dolphins. 10-3 is our score. We'll be back to wrap up the first half here on UPN 44 in a moment.
The Bucs are here, UPN 44. It's the hit and play-by-play. The Bucs are taking aim. And I'm talking time for smashing. Let's get back in the game. It's gonna be a battle when Atlanta comes to town. But Hardy's on a mission to shoot the Falcons down. The Bucs are here, UPN 44.
Bucs, Falcons, next Sunday at 4.
The Bucs are here, UPN 44.
Tom Mees, Randy Cross, Pat Boyle back at Joe Robbie Stadium, and we're joined, as you see in your picture, that is Eric Redden. Don't recognize him unless you see a football in his hand because he's not in uniform tonight.
He is jonesing right now. You can talk about money and contract all you want, but they're playing football. He's got that ball in his arm. He'd love nothing more right now than to get out there and start running.
Let's hope we see him next week at Houlihan Stadium in Tampa against the Atlanta Falcons. Husted's kick is a short one, picked up around the 20-yard line. Returned by Robert Wilson, a reserve fullback. He's tackled at the 26. And there again is Eric Rett. Of course, the holdout ending just in time so he wouldn't lose any credit towards his free agent status eventually. The question we're wondering, is Eric going to resolve things? stay for a full season, or are we going to have more trouble?
It's all up to two things, really. The organization and how much weight and credit he puts in his advice he gets from his agent. Agents have, in some cases, undue influence on players when it comes time to interrupt their football playing time.
First down and 10. McGuire, Dan McGuire in there for his second series. With just 47 seconds left in that. And Jimmy Johnson is going to keep handing the ball off until something works. Kirby taking the handoff that time, and Lonnie Marks brought him down.
You know, in this big, beautiful stadium here outside of Miami, Joe Robbie Stadium, there's a lot of great places you could go at halftime, but one of the places I wouldn't suggest the sensitive should go is the Miami Dolphin locker room. Because if they thought Jimmy Johnson yelled at them yesterday, wait till they hear this one. Because Tony Dungy's Buccaneer team has really physically taken it to these guys.
Let me correct myself. It was not Lonnie Marks on the tackle. That was reserve defensive end Herman Smith, third-year man out of Portland State. Good small college program in the great Northwest.
Best known for producing the run-and-shoot offense. Miles Davis, June Jones is the quarterback in that thing, and there was a lot of people that wish they never heard about the run-and-shoot.
Absolutely.
It's ruined many a defensive coordinator's life. Not the one against the run-and-shoot, usually the one on the team of the run-and-shoot.
Remember in Houston with Buddy Ryan?
The duck and chuck, that's right.
All right, here's McGuire under a rush. Warren Sapp has him, and McGuire is strong enough to get the ball away, but a good pass rush by Sapp.
And that is the kind of Warren Sapp performance you expect. One-on-one blocking. We talked about that earlier. He's going to get a lot of one-on-one, and when he gets one-on-one blocking, he should be able to exploit a lineman, especially one. Burt Widener gets that guy on the outside shoulder like that. That is tough to handle for any guy. But when you get no help, and it's Warren Sapp, it's triple tough.
Well, the Buccaneers still looking for an effective and consistent pass rush. That's one of the things that Tony Dungy considers a must this year. They're going to cut down the passing yards again. Sapp getting the job done there. Kirby not getting the job done on the ground, and with 30 seconds to go in the half, another punting situation coming up. Just a reminder, for any Hillsborough County resident who's not a registered voter, you must register by this Monday, August 5th, to be eligible to vote on the Community Investment Fund referendum on September 3rd. For information on how and where to register, call 272-5850. Very important question to be decided in the Tampa Bay area. There's some youngsters.
Denver Broncos, that's interesting.
All right. They gotten on the wrong flight.
It's almost the right color.
Yep.
It's almost the right orange, but kind of a little geographical problem.
Warren Sapp feeling good about himself. Of course, they love him in this area, having played for the University of Miami.
And you saw the smile on the face of Tony Dungy there talking to his young quarterback, Trent Dilfer, and he's pretty happy.
Marvin Marshall again back in single safety to receive the punt of Kidd. At the 21. Up to the 30, where he's brought down there, and that could be the last play of the first half. They'll stop the clock for change of possession, so maybe one more play. 47-yard punt following the 18-yard return, and as promised, Dilfer, of course, will finish out the first half. First and 10 from the 30-yard line.
See, in this situation, you see him motioning in the huddle, the two fingers down like that. He's going to call two plays right here. More than likely, a quick run, get back on the line of scrimmage, and then a pass down the field to try to get some yardage out and a possible type of a field goal.
One setback. Behind Trent Dilfer. Stays in the pocket. Quick pass up the sideline. Alvin Harper with the catch, but the clock will keep running. J.B. Brown on the tackle. And a timeout from Tampa Bay to stop the clock with 11 seconds left.
Good execution. Good poise by Trent Dilfer getting that completion and calling the timeout, because with 11 seconds on the clock, I don't know if he could have gotten everybody set up, the officials get the ball placed, and then to get another one out. We talked earlier about the kind of year that Alvin Harper had last year. 94, unbelievable year. I mean, here's a guy that's got a 27-yard plus postseason per catch average. He comes in here last year, 13.8 yards. What it doesn't tell you there is the guy had more catches and more yards than he did the year before.
But it
only had 33 catches in 1994.
What it also doesn't tell you is that Harper missed most of the preseason getting ready because he injured himself in the first game against the Jets last year. Dilfer going long at the sideline. This one will be picked off. And the Dolphins going up the sideline fumble the football out of bounds on the last play. So the interception will not hurt Tampa Bay. Terrell Buckley made the pilfer of Dilfer, if you will, as the clock runs down. And Dilfer will say, okay, got away with that one. And the first half comes to an end with our score, Tampa Bay 10, Miami 3.
You got away with that pilfer, bud.
Yeah, it just came to me, and I couldn't
You had to go
myself.
with it.
I had to go with it.
Well, you know, overall, Tony Dungy goes inside right now, and he's got to go to both sides of the ball and go, hey, look, you're attacking. You're doing the things we want to do. We're getting a good performance out of our under tackle in Warren Sapp. We're running the ball aggressively. The offensive line's protecting the quarterback. You know, you can't ask for a better first half of a first preseason game.
Let's check in before we go back to the newsroom to Pat Boyle. Pat?
Well, Tom, you remember 7 months ago, head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Jimmy Johnson, took a little shot at Trent Dilfer on national television and in Sports Illustrated. He said he'd rather coach a Hall of Fame quarterback than a guy he didn't have faith in. Well, this week, the big story out of Buccaneer camp was the shot that Trent took in the papers towards J.J. He said that the Cowboys head coach took a little too much credit for their Super Bowl titles and that he didn't tell the whole story about Trent's situation in Tampa last year. Now, before today's game, Tony Dungy joked to me and said that Trent will have no problems this season as long as he stays away from the media. I think he'd rather have Trent take his shots at defensive backs than at the opposing coach. Guys?
All right, Pat, with a halftime score, the Bucs 10, the Dolphins 3. We'll be back with more after this. Now let's join 44.
96 Buccaneers.
Well, both teams to like what they see so far. We are here at Bleachers, where it is a packed house. You can see everybody is very excited here tonight. They're also excited with the way the Bucs have been playing tonight. They are impressed with the defense. The offense is looking pretty good, scoring 10 points so far. We talked to some fans earlier. Here's what they've got to say about it.
Overall, defense looks good. The offensive line is the key. That's what they need the whole season.
Trent's looking good. Alvin Harper caught a touchdown. Better than last year.
Well, I think this year they're much more united as a team. It seems like the last couple of years they've been trying to struggle to get some sort of unity.
Well, they're doing good. I just wish that Rhett would have showed up on time. Then maybe they can get their offense on sync.
I mean, they're trying. They're trying real hard. They look okay.
So some pretty good reviews from the fans here at Bleachers tonight. They are excited about the Bucs, even more excited to be on TV. And from what we understand, there is no dolphin on the menu here, but the chicken wings are going pretty well. We're going to be here throughout the rest of the game. We'll check in with you a little later once the game is over. That's it from Bleachers. Back to you.
Boy at Lou with the Bucs.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers leading Miami 10-3. So far tonight, it's been a real domination, statistically and any other way you want to look at it, for the Bucs. They've really taken it to Jimmy Johnson's Miami Dolphins, outdoing them probably mostly on the ground. You look at the stats for the half. First downs, 10-4. Rushing yards, 73 for the Bucs, 24 for the Dolphins. That really jumps out. Time of possession is not real big, but what you can't measure here is the ticker and the emotion. And the emotion and the heart so far have all been on the side of Tony Dungy's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right here, the bomb from Trent Dilfer to Copeland in the first half. Or, sorry, check that. That's a touchdown to Alvin Harper, where safety Sean Wooden, number 22, was injured. We haven't gotten much of an update on Wooden, but he left on a stretcher. A touchdown for Alvin Harper. And here's what set all that up. Bruce Copeland coming down the sideline, Horace Copeland, rather, coming down the sideline. Perfect pass by Dilfer, a little short on the coverage by the cornerback Buckley. But all in all, Tom Meades, a nice effort by the Bucs.
Yeah, I thought so. You know, you had good decision-making, I think, by the quarterback, Trent Dilfer. You had consistent play by the defense, going well to the ball, putting some decent pressure on, and making some good decisions. And I think Tony Dungy has got to be very pleased with what he saw in that first half.
And so far in the press box at the half, I think the unanimous question and comment is, how much would you not want to have been in the locker room with Jimmy Johnson. You know he was going crazy. 2.0, 2 yards a rush for his offense. 12 rushes and 24 yards. He went ballistic.
And it's a lucky thing that young lady wasn't anywhere near her to hear how ballistic Jimmy Johnson must have gone. As Stoyanovich gets set for only his second kickoff for the night. Tampa Bay, remember, did not win the opening toss, so they will receive to start the second half. Vernon Turner standing back at his 5-yard line. Tom Mees and Randy Cross set to go for the second half. Tampa Bay Bucs opener of the preseason. Turner at the 1-yard line, bobbles, recontrols, and here he goes. Up to the 20, 21-yard line, brought down by a host of Dolphins, including Kirby Dardar, number 15.
And we get our first look at Casey Weldon here in the first preseason game at quarterback, according to the plan that Tony Dungy and company had coming into this game. Dilfer got the first half. Weldon will play the third quarter, part of the fourth, and they'd like to take a look at Scott Milanovich, the rookie out of Maryland, in the fourth quarter.
And we hope you're enjoying Bucs preseason action on Channel 44 and also WCPX Channel 6 in Orlando, Florida. The 21-yard return of that kickoff by Stoyanovich, and here's the former Florida State Flash, Casey Weldon. Weldon on the play fake. Now the pump, and forced to throw it out of bounds as he was being pressured by Trace Armstrong.
That's a good decision process there. We talked about the indecision and hesitation in the first half being very important for the quarterback position. Well, you look at this situation right here. Casey Weldon wanted to go down the field, made that pump, made that fake, and the first thing he saw out of the corner of his eye was a little aqua and white. And a great decision to try to hit somebody on the sideline with that pass instead of a guy in white.
Second down and 10. Weldon the handoff. And the handoff is to Leroy Thompson. They're going to say he was down by contact up near the 25-yard line. Darrell Gardner, number 1 draft pick of the Dolphins, makes the tackle.
Watch the line blocking up front and the push that happened. He's got the hole, he's got the blocking, and he's got the ball on that dirt infield. That dirt infield type surface causes lots of fumbles in preseason and early football season. Believe me, having been a player that played on a team that had to have a dirt infield, or in our case, kind of a crushed brick infield, players that play in cities that only have grass fields the whole year round are extremely lucky.
Third down and 6 yards to go for the Buccaneers and Casey Weldon. Passing situation. 4 wideouts, 2 to each side. Lots of time, and now the pocket collapses. Weldon gets away, and the dump-off pass is incomplete, and maybe it's just as well Moore, the tight end. And a lot of traffic in front of him brings up a punting situation. Trace Armstrong and Ed Hawthorne were after Mr. Weldon.
Well, Tom, first impression right out of the gate here, enthusiasm is kicked up a little bit. The emotion's a little bit up for the Miami Dolphins, especially in the body of Trace Armstrong. He is ready to go here in the second half compared to the performance put on by the Dolphin team in the first half.
Robbie Colley out of Virginia Tech, the rookie, back to punt for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Terrell Buckley back in single safety for the Dolphins at the 35. End over end. Buckley signals fair catch. It appeared he had an opportunity to return it, but he'll kneel just short of the 40-yard line. It's 10-3, Tampa Bay, early in the third quarter. The Dolphins, they'll start at the 39-yard line, and Bernie Kosar, who played collegiately at the University of Miami, been in the NFL a long time, 14-year veteran. He's going to crank it up again, Randy.
And we talked about it earlier, but being the veteran he is, he knew the starting offensive line was going to play the first quarter and the third quarter. And guess where you see the veteran Kosar show up? That's behind the big good guys, the first line.
Mama didn't raise no fool, did she?
Not when you get through college in about 2.5 years.
Oh, he was an academic whiz at the University of Miami. Kosar out of Boardman, Ohio, and the pass out of the flat complete to Robert Wilson. And Clifton Abraham, number 22, made the tackle. Donnie Abraham, number 21, made his presence felt in the first half.
And you can really tell the difference when you get in and see a quarterback that's been around for a while. Just the timing and the feel that he has for a play. That was a great play by Abraham to hold that thing to negligible gain, basically. But it was a nice show of a timing offense and a good quarterback.
Clifton Abraham made that tackle out of Florida State, 2-year NFL veteran. Looks our better hurry. He does on 2nd and 9. Gets the ball out there to the former Buccaneer, Lamar Thomas. And again, Clifton Abraham the tackle.
You know, in case you're seeing things that look fairly similar between the two teams, these offenses are very much alike. You know, even in spite of the fact that you've got a Dan Marino at the quarterback position, Jimmy Johnson would love to pound the ball. He is going to pound the ball. Miami fans have heard it for years. Don Shula saying, I'm going to pound it, I'm going to pound it, and then saying, okay, we're going to let Dan throw. But this team is going to run the ball exactly like the Bucs are going to run the ball.
Or die trying here in Miami.
Yeah.
3rd down and 4. And the give for the Dolphins to number 30, Bernie Parmalee. And Parmalee is cut down short of the 1st down. And it's 3 and out for Kosar and the Dolphins to start the 2nd half.
I'll be very interested to see what running back Jimmy Johnson ends up with here in Miami. I'm not talking about the end of the preseason or 1996, but he is going to get himself a marquee running back with this franchise, somebody he can feed the ball to on a regular basis. He's going to find his Eric Rhett.
Well, there's no Emmitt Smith here, that's for sure.
No, I mean, but he's got it's kind of like Rhett's problem. You know, he's the 2nd best University of Florida running back in the league, but that's no shame.
Kushner in the punt for Miami. John Kidd's night is done. A little bit of a hesitation by the return man for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kenneth Gant. I'm sorry, not Gant. Let's check that. Marvin Marshall, the return man. And Marshall's brought down by Larry Izzo. 15-yard return after a 42-yard punt. And that gives us time to pay some bills. It's 10-3 Tampa Bay.
Back out of Miami. Here's the play he was injured on earlier in the 1st half. X-rays here at the stadium show that it was negative to his neck. He's okay. Jackson Memorial Hospital is where he's going to now for a cautionary MRI. But things look okay for Sean Wooden. Back to you guys.
All right, Pat, thanks for that update, and thank goodness for Sean Wooden's sake, not a serious injury at all. Jeff Kopp, meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins, does a good job on Leroy Thompson, the running back, on the Bucs' first play, and we're all relieved to hear that about Wooden.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's absolutely, no matter what the sport is, they've all seen him over the last few years, there's absolutely no way to prevent that type of thing because it is very much a reaction and speed endeavor here in sports. And you see a great example of the play Kopp makes out there, that the speed and the velocity of players moving.
Kopp, a 2nd-year man out of Southern Cal, forces the 2nd down and 9. Weldon, Leroy Thompson, the receiver this time, over the 30 to the 31-yard line. And Jeff Kopp again in on the tackle, along with Zach Thomas.
That's one thing Tony Dungy has to see his offense do right now, is get a little bit more of that forward lean going again. We talked about the attitude and the aggressiveness of the team in the 1st half. Well, right now it's just not quite there. And granted, it's not really quite the exact same players. I mean, we've mentioned the fact that Jason Odom's in at right tackle, and there have been some changes. But you got to pick this thing back up and get a little momentum.
3rd down and 3, and the give to Vernon Turner. He is cut down short of the 1st down. Zach Thomas again brings him down with help for number 25, Lewis Oliver, but Zach Thomas did the bulk of the work and should force a punting situation.
Yeah, that rookie out of Texas Tech there, Zach Thomas, is one of those guys. I refer to as going to be a successful 2 guy. You know, because people say he was too slow and he was too small and, you know, just 2 this and 2 that. He is going to be a good middle linebacker.
Thomas was an All-American at Texas Tech, first team Southwest Conference, drafted in the 5th round by the Dolphins. Tony Dungy sees his punt team go back in. Tommy Barnhart back for the kick this time. Terrell Buckley in single safety. It's a short kick. Buckley comes up at the 33 and makes the fair catch. That's where the Dolphins will start out. Tampa Bay still on top by a count of 10-3. We'll be back with more from Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. I guarantee you the Dolphins, the coaching staff, is not nearly that happy with what they've seen tonight. Only 3 points on the board. Tony Dungy, he may be one of the happier people, but Jimmy Johnson is not.
He made the point before the game to Pat and to us earlier today that, you know, winning isn't so much what he's looking at. He wants to evaluate the talent. He wants to see what he wants. I guarantee you the players on the field, the guys that are doing this thing, I don't care, first team, second team, third team, they want to win this football game.
First and 10 from the 33. Parmalee gains just about a yard. In there on the tackle was Tyoka Jackson. And also getting up off the pile, Demetrius DeBose.
And no one wants to win more than the younger players, the guys that haven't seen much time in the professional ranks. You know, Tyoka Jackson, second year, he's been around a while. Reagan Upshaw, no experience, first game. I mean, his whole idea is, I got to win it. I got to win this game. And give him the 7th, 8th regular season game of the year. He starts figuring out he's already played more games than he played in college. He'll temper that thing down a little bit.
I was going to say, for the wily veterans, they know it's not life and death here. 2nd down and 8. Kosar, he's been around a while. Dump pass out on the flat, breaking the tackle, and trying to call for the first down was Robert Wilson, the fullback. Clifton Abraham got a piece of. Where are they going to mark this? This could be a measurement, or it could be destroyed.
College football is life and death. Professional football is paycheck and living. It motivates you in a whole different way.
I remember the former Buccaneer, Robert Wilson, gets away from Tampa Bay's Eric Austin on that play and crawls the first down yardage.
And almost gets a face mask penalty out of it. Pretty good job by Austin resisting the temptation of grabbing what he had in his hand.
Tellison and Lamar Thomas, the wideouts for Kosar. First down. Pass is a dump off to Parmalee over the middle. Parmalee into Buccaneer territory. Brought down by Wardell Rouse, number 52. Rouse, the 2-year veteran out of Clemson.
Remember we talked about intensity and how they needed to get the intensity going and how intensity was there in the first half. The first place intensity shows up in a lack of category is in tackling by your defense. If your intensity isn't there, your defense isn't tackling well. And a couple plays back-to-back where the tackling's been pretty shabby.
2nd down at about a yard. But the quarterbacks like to call a free play here. Buccaneer 48. Kosar looking long. Down the left sideline. Nothing open there, so he'll pump fake it and give it out to Parmalee. He was looking for Lamar Thomas. Already Thomas was covered well by Clifton Abraham. There was nothing there.
Well, he was looking to Lamar Thomas. Then he was looking for a friendly color. He wanted to find something with a white jersey on, and this is why he had to get off of Thomas. There's a nice job by Abraham. Clifton Abraham all over him. That's why he goes underneath, but that's why you have a veteran backup quarterback in Bernie Kosar. He can find those people underneath where a young, inexperienced guy 9 times out of 10 isn't going to find that guy.
And a dump-off pass, plenty of yardage for the first down. Parmalee again, inside the 40 to the 39. Pickup of about 5 yards. Darnell Stevens makes the tackle.
Now, Jimmy Johnson, I don't look for him to start smiling anytime soon, but this is a situation now that his offense is finally starting to show a little efficiency. Nothing real flashy. They're just getting chunks and chunks and chunks and taking it down the field. That's the kind of offense he likes.
Ellison and Thomas again split out at opposite sides on 2nd and 5. And again, it's Bernie Parmalee trying to turn the corner, and he is grabbed from behind. An excellent play initially by Darnell Stevens. Tyrone Leggett gets credit for the tackle, but 54 Stevens did a nice job running it down.
And we talked about what Jimmy Johnson likes on offense. What Tony Dungy likes on defense is speed and pursuit. There's some speed there as far as turning that play in and turning it back into the defensive back. But there's not enough speed to get out there and stop that corner. Tony Dungy wants that runner to have to turn back inside to the linebackers, not outside of the defensive back.
3rd down and 3. Parmalee again has the first down and more, and he's ran down at the 27-yard line. Wardell Rouse grabbed him from behind and may have saved a touchdown.
Well, the Tampa Bay front 7 right now is finding out why Bernie Kosar wanted to play behind that big starting offensive line for the Miami Dolphins, because they have found their stride. That was a huge hole behind a quick trap block by Keith Sims, their left guard.
Bernie Parmalee, 6-year veteran out of Ball State in Indiana. Ball at the Buccaneer 27. Kozar initially looks left, now wants to go right, and there's nobody home. Parmalee is strolling down there. And you would know better than most. Was that a missed assignment by the receiver, or did he just throw that out?
You got to refer to that. That was ugly but effective. Bernie Kozar gets absolutely, if you're talking about Olympic-style points, that was about a .12. Watch this. He knows he's got no shot. He knows he's got a rush. He's just chunking that thing out of bounds any way he can.
Herman Smith was the man putting the rush on, number 91 for the Bucs. Brings up a 2nd down and 10. Bernie Parmalee. He is hit behind the line of scrimmage, and the Buccaneers doing a good job bringing up a 3rd down. Darnell Stevens again on the hit.
You know the term bend but don't break with defenses? This is what drives offenses crazy, is when a defense does what Tampa Bay's defense has done right here the last 2 plays. You move it, you're successful. You get right down where you can see and smell that red zone, and bang, bang, they put 2 good defensive plays together, and they stuff you.
3rd down and 10. Kozar back in the shotgun. 3 wideouts. Flags on the play, hold everything. Penalty spotted before the snap of the football by Gary Lane and his crew.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 62, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's Chris Gray, starting right guard, 5th-year man out of Auburn. His offensive lineman can balance up everything.
Every time. Every time. It was probably the quarterback's fault, wasn't it?
Yeah. Different cadence.
Yeah, bad cadence. Okay. Bad snap count. If I was him, that's what I'd tell Jimmy when I got to the sideline.
3rd down and 15. Kozar looking left all the way, under pressure. Now he's got to run. This is an adventure. Kozar with a dump off, has his man down inside the 15-yard line. Should be a 1st down for the Dolphins. Is that Parmalee again? Jarris McPhail made the reception, and an officials conference, a flag on the plane.
There was motion, I think, by the line.
Penalty against Miami. Call the play back.
That's really too bad, because, I mean, this is, for you kids out there watching, don't try this at home. Only a true professional athlete like Bernie Kozar can pull something like this off, but it's an embarrassment to the Tampa Bay defense that a Bernie Kozar can make a play out of nothing like that. But then again, it's an embarrassment to the Miami offense that Chris Gray gets called number 62 for being downfield. He thinks his quarterback's running. He goes downfield. That was a bad play. That compounds Jimmy Johnson's problems on the sidelines and brings a little bit of a smile to the face of the defensive coaches for Tampa Bay.
3rd down and 20. The ball all the way back at the Tampa Bay 37-yard line. Kozar again out of the shotgun. Trips to the left. Goes over the middle. It's McPhail again. He's inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. Tyrone Leggett makes the tackle. Let's see if the 1st down yardage was Garner. They're going to give him a spot right at the 20, and that's going to be short. 19-yard gain, and the fans, of course, want the Dolphins to go for it on 4th.
3rd quarter of the first preseason game? Heck yes.
Yes, absolutely.
You've got your starting offensive line in. Why not do it? Sometimes a zone coverage, dropping people off, can get you in trouble. And here's an indication. When you zone people off, you drop them off, you make the runner come to you. Sometimes you get what you wanted, and it doesn't quite work out.
4th down and 3 to go. Kozar steps up. He's looking to go to the end zone. He's got his man at the 3-yard line. His man is Scott Miller. 1st down and goal, Miami.
Well, if you're a young quarterback out there, concentrate on the result. Not so much how Bernie does this. A great read, a little shuffle, I guess a pass, you might call that. It's like an underhand sidearm flip, but it got to where it had to be. It was in the perfect spot for Miller to catch it. And it's kind of like golf. There's nowhere on the scoreboard for pictures. It just kind of gives you the total and how many. And right now, Bernie Kosar's got a bunch.
6 of 7 for Kosar, 60 yards, and a timeout is called by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, facing a first-and-goal situation. 1 minute, 46 seconds left to go in the third quarter. The Dolphins threatening to tie this one up. The Buccaneers leading by inside the Buccaneers' 5-yard line at the 2, first and goal.
Well, the bottom line problem for the Bucs defense here, no real pressure on Bernie Kosar. It's not really pretty what he gets done, but he gets the ball to Miller. Luckily for the Bucs, Tony Booby gets over there and puts a good lick on Miller and puts him on the ground.
Miller out of UCLA, 2 receptions tonight, 42 yards total. First and goal from the 2. Kosar not trying to run it in. Now he will, and he will not be successful. No, that's not the play that Jimmy Johnson had in mind as Marcus Jones put Kosar down to the turf.
High need is not the first term that comes to mind when you talk about Bernie Kosar running the ball. If you're a Bucs defender and you see him out here in this position, you have just got to close to the ball as fast as you can and try to get a lick on him. And you knew it. You could almost see Marcus Jones there at 78 just drool.
Bernie Parmalee tries to take the airborne route, and he is hit in midair by Stevens, 54. He was in there along with Tyrone Leggett. So the Bucs defensive middle saying no way.
It's a good-looking defensive play, Tom, but let's be honest. You're taking off and diving from the 4-yard line? You got a 3-yard dive and a 4-yard place to go. There's no way that thing would have gotten to the end zone, but it was great defensive play by the Tampa Bay Bucs right there in the inside.
Third and goal. They'll mark it just outside the 1. Parmalee again goes airborne. Is he in? No indication yet. No, they're going to say it's a 4th down coming up. The linesman came in, took a look, and held that clenched fist in the air, indicating 4th down.
You have got some tired football players out on the field right now, especially on this Tampa defense. A lot of guys playing right now on guts. This early in the season, conditioning is definitely a factor. We talked about the humidity. We're going to have a change of quarter before we get this gut check for the Tampa Bay defense, because they're going to go for it on fourth down. Jimmy Johnson will.
So the Tampa Bay Bucs are staging a goal line stand. Will it be successful? We'll find out on the first play of the fourth quarter. Leading 10-3. That could change in a moment. 4th and goal for the Dolphins on the Buccaneer 1-yard line. Tom Mees, Randy Cross, and Pat Boyle with you from Joe Robbie Stadium. Jimmy Johnson, his first game as a Dolphin head coach. Interested spectator now. Parmalee is the deep setback. They'll give to him again. Dives into the line. Yes or no? Yes, says the linesman. Touchdown, Miami. But it wasn't by much.
There was no mystery there for Tony Dungy's defense. They knew they were coming right over Sims and Webb on that left side. That's right where they attack. That's right where the Bucs defense gets the most penetration. Stevens just can't quite hold Parmalee up long enough to get help from the back. Watch it one more time. Nothing too spectacular by the execution from Miami's standpoint, but the cavalry was a little late for Tampa.
Eric Austin just showing up a bit late, but a good effort by the Tampa Bay Bucs defense. They made the Miami Dolphins work for every inch of it when they did come up with a 1st down and goal situation. So the game is tied at 10. There's 4 seconds into the 4th quarter. We'll be back with more from Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. Dolphins, Tony Dungy and company knew they'd be in for a fight, and these same 2 teams, Randy, will meet 3 weeks hence when they'll be tuning up for the beginning of the regular season.
With a lot more seriousness of purpose. Not that this man here doesn't look pretty serious. And I think there are jobs hanging in the balance right now for both teams, obviously. But if you're a Miami Dolphin right now, and I don't think anybody's immune outside of Dan Marino on this football team. If you perform badly for Jimmy Johnson, you're susceptible to be cut or at least traded.
Picked off by Stoyanovich again. Not a rather lengthy one. Picked up by the Buccaneers, number 89, Marvin Marshall, just outside the 10-yard line and lugged up over the 25 to the 26. The key play of that Dolphin drive, there were several of them. There were 2 fourth-down conversions in this drive, a drive of almost 9.5 minutes. Let's take a look, though, at Bernie Kosar. A long pass from Kosar.
Well, the Olympics is still going on, so we're going to put this shot put by Bernie Kosar up to Scott Miller. And like you mentioned earlier, Bowie saved the touchdown, but it's not how you get it done, it's if you get it done.
Ball at the 27-yard line. Casey Weldon still in there, quarterback. Gives it off to Ellison. Goes one way and the other and stopped just short of the 30-yard line. Shane Burton on the tackle for Miami.
We talked about jobs hanging in the balance for the Miami Dolphins players, and obviously from the Tampa Bay standpoint right now, they have got to see that aggressive play, that attacking that you saw in the first half. Tony Dungy is going to want to see that right now out of these backup players. He's got backup linemen in there. He's got a backup quarterback in there. He's got backup running backs in there. Because face it, everybody but Eric Red on this team is back.
Second down and 7, gain of 3 for Ellison. The handoff goes to number 34, Leroy Thompson, and Thompson over the 35 to the 38-yard line. Gene Atkins the tackle, but it should be a first down.
Nothing shows aggressiveness and sense of purpose better than running the ball. I mean, there's just something special about that to any football coach. I don't care what your background is. I played for Bill Walsh for 10 years, and Bill Walsh loved to run the football. He didn't like to do it, but he loved it when it worked.
Common perception was he loved to load it up with Montana and have the aerial show. That was the perception.
Yeah, but us in the infantry knew the Air Force had no chance without us.
Flags go flying before the ball is snapped. Should be against the Bucs. Illegal procedure remains to be seen who. Gary Lane can fill us in.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 7, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Rookie Jason Odom, 4th-round pick out of Florida. A little anxious on that one. Brings up a first down and 15, ball back at the 33-yard line. Bucs will have their preseason opener next week against the Atlanta Falcons.
A completely different style football team than the Miami Dolphins. Talk about a team that on offense has speed.
Weldon, tough pass up at the 44-yard line, and the catch is made. Wilson makes the catch, or did he? No, they say he was out of bounds. Dorian Brew on the coverage. They say Charles Wilson was out of bounds.
Plenty of room to spare if you're north of the border up in Canada, but here on this football field, he comes up just a little bit short. The ruling being his momentum was carrying him out of bounds with that last foot before the contact came from the defensive back. Defensive back gets there a little earlier and pushes him. That can be a catch.
Casey Weldon loading up, going down the sideline, and he's lucky that ball wasn't intercepted. The intended receiver was Larry Ryan. Number 14, Tim Jacobs on the coverage. Ryan's a third-year man out of Clemson.
Well, Weldon's taking his shot down the field on the same side of the field that Trent Dilfer completed his big bomb earlier to Copeland. This one just comes up a little short. As they say, not quite enough air under that one at the end.
There's a look at number 45, Tim Jacobs. Was your man out of Delaware on the coverage. Casey Weldon in the flat. Goes to the tight end. That's Dave Moore, but he is well short of the first down. Robert Bailey on the coverage. And the Tampa Bay Bucs will be forced to punt.
Now, next time Tampa gets the ball, I'm kind of looking forward to maybe getting a look at Carl Williams. Tony Dungy made quite a point about the impression this young receiver has made on him. He came out of Texas A&M Kingsville, formerly known as Texas A&I. A lot of great athletes. His head coach down there said he was the best football player he'd ever had down there. Had some pretty good ball players out of the old Texas A&I.
The Javelinas, they used to be called. Robert Colley back to punt. Terrell Buckley in single safety. 26-yard line. Buckley has one of his own men coming right at him. Dropped him down right at the 25-yard line. He ran into number 34, Walter Smith, and that was it. Credit for the tackle goes to Reggie Russ. We'll be back with more from Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. Bay Buccaneers, Tom Mees, Randy Cross, and Pat Boyle with you. And that is the aforementioned Carl Williams. Those his numbers in 2 years at Texas A&M Kingsville.
Now remember, that's a team that ran the ball a lot, past 6, 7, 8 times a game. So he's got a lot of potential, he's got a lot of speed, he's got a lot of savvy in this offense. It's a matter of getting an opportunity. And it's a suffering time for a young guy in the opener that doesn't get in a football game. Because the first thing that goes into your mind when you're not playing this late in the opener,
Bernie Kosar cuts loose on a pass. And the pass attempted for Lamar Thomas, knocked down there by Clifton Abraham. The 2nd and 10.
Smooth segue there. I like it. Cut that one.
Well, you hang around Berman and Lee and those guys, and you learn something here and there. 2nd down and 10. And there is
Mr. Happy.
Yes. Mr. Congeniality. Jimmy Johnson. Of course, you know, it's really unfair, but I guess the situation invites it. His every move this team makes is going to be assimilated. It's going to be diagnosed, poured over by the media. Eric Austin on the tackle against Jarris McPhail, short of the first down. Pat Boyle got an injury update for it.
Yeah, Tom, down here in the MASH unit, roaming the sidelines here, running back Jerry Ellison has a bruised leg, and his return is probable. That's it from the MASH unit. Up to you.
That sounds to me like a boo-boo. Not even a full injury. That's kind of a boo-boo. You know, he's got a little bit of a bruise, but he probably get back.
We'll see. We saw Carl Williams a moment ago. I think by the tenseness in his face, he may get in the next series. We certainly hope so. Jarris McPhail getting a lot of work. All of a sudden for the Miami Dolphins.
It's a critical time for a lot of young players involved in this football game, Tom. And, you know, the staff for Tampa is going to get a great chance to evaluate personality starting tomorrow and the day after. Not so much the guys that are sore and the veterans that played. Getting a look at these young guys, the guys that played, and more importantly, the people that don't play in this game, how they react to that. I talked earlier about how players cut players. Coaches don't usually have to do it. This becomes the part of the year where a player kind of gives up and helps himself get cut.
First down, ruled on that carry. Kosar looking over the middle and in and out of the hands of Jarris McPhail. Well, first of all, for Miami, early on was Irving Spikes, the featured running back. And after Spikes went out of the lineup, you had Terry Kirby. And now it's Jarris McPhail getting a lot of work. Trying to find something there.
Well, we're seeing a combination on the other side of the ball for Tampa. The biggest difference is Jimmy Johnson has no Rhett in the hole. I mean, he's got no Eric Rhett standing over there clutching the football, begging to be out there running.
2nd and 10 after the incompletion. Kosar with time. Gets it out there in the flat, and it is complete. Number 48. Check that. That is Abraham, Clifton Abraham on the tackle. And still trying to figure out who caught that ball. I believe it was number 48. 46, Kerry Cash, the tight end. Nope, it's not.
It's Lee McClinton, 48.
Lee McClinton. They didn't put his number on the chart here.
Out of that powerhouse, New Hampshire.
That's right. They had him listed as number 47 on the depth chart. Now, that is respect when your home team doesn't give you the proper number.
They missed by much.
No.
It wasn't a gross oversight.
3rd down and 1. McClinton got a gain of 9. This is going to be close. Here's McPhail, the ball carrier. Erica Jackson on the tackle.
I got to be honest, it's great to see Jimmy Johnson back on the sideline, back in coaching. I told him the other day when I saw him, I said, "You're back in your natural habitat." He goes, was I that bad on TV? I said, "No, but you belong doing this."
Yes, he does.
And a great contrast between a guy like Jimmy Johnson on the sideline for the first time in a while, and on the other side, Tony Dungy for the first time as a head coach. He'll say, you know, the big thrill will be the first regular season game, but he won't forget this night. Head coach, little smile on his face, at Miami with Jimmy Johnson his first game back.
That's a first down. You saw a shot at Tony Dungy there. Hired January 22nd by the Bucs. 15 years an assistant with teams like Minnesota and Kansas City and Pittsburgh. Played for the Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers. Was a quarterback way back with the Golden Gophers in his college days. I mean, he's definitely paid his dues. Goodness knows how many interviews he's had over the last few years, and he should be on the sidelines, and he finally is. First time in years, by the way, he said he's seen a game from the sidelines. He's usually been up in the booth.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to expect. He hasn't seen a game from the sidelines since he's played.
Jarris McPhail picking his way through holes inside the Buccaneer 45 to the 43-yard line. George Harris made the tackle for Tampa Bay, but it's another first down.
Well, it doesn't much matter where you're watching this game from. If you're a defensive coach and you see your defense get gashed like this inside, it is ugly. It's ugly from the booth. It's ugly from the sideline. It's ugly from the end zone.
13-yard gain. Harris, a rookie out of Kentucky, trying to make this football team. We were told the Dolphins were going to play all four quarterbacks tonight. The only one who hasn't played is Mike Buck. McPhail. He hits the line with some speed, and he is dragged down on a nice play again by George Harris with help from Clifton Abraham. Gain of about 5 for McPhail.
Right now, the last two series, you've seen the backup defensive line, backup defense basically for the Tampa Bay team, physically getting a little worn down and pushed by the starting offensive line. Majority of starting offensive line for the Miami Dolphins. Remember, folks, most of the guys in there right now in the white jerseys up front are their starters.
McPhail, the long setback. He'll get the handoff again, and McPhail has another first down. This is a rookie out of East Carolina. He only started 1 year at East Carolina, ran for 910 yards that year, and he's proving why. He is a late comer, but he's impressive tonight.
Right now, we're looking at a good example of philosophy differences. Jimmy Johnson, he's going to make a point. His starting offensive line's in there, and darn it, he's going to run the ball. Tony Dungy told us this morning, said, hey, look, if it's fourth quarter and they got starters in there and they're running against my second or third team, I've got to look at those guys too, so I'm not going to make any changes.
Well, the pressure's on for Jimmy Johnson to win here immediately. He doesn't have any 5-year plan. Maybe he should, but they don't give him that here. The window of opportunities for Dan Marino and Bernie Kosar and the like is not all that great. Pass out to the sidelines this time. Gathered in by Bryce Hunter, the Dolphins. Reggie Russ drives him out of bounds.
Most of their talent people right here in Miami are not so much, well, they're not long in the tooth. I think a fang's a lot longer than a normal tooth. They're long in the fang.
And you've got Marino, 15 years. Kosar, 14 years as backup. Mike Buck is the young Buck, if you will, with 6 years in there.
And really, to be honest, in my opinion, if you take Dan Marino out of the equation, there's very little difference between these two football teams in Miami and Tampa.
Jarris McPhail. He gets a lot of yardage out of that initial fake, usually to the left, cutting back to the right. Marcus Jones wraps him up with Keith Goganis. Watch the way he gets the ball and jukes to the left. Little dip and then dips the shoulder to the right.
Well, that's sort of the way this play was designed. The quick trap block coming from the backside with your offensive guard coming around, in this case, Chris Gray, with a trap on the defensive lineman. The reason he had to do that little jog and that little hop was the penetration came much deeper than expected.
McPhail will take a rest. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 33, has come into the lineup. He's the rookie out of UCLA. He'll replace McPhail for the Dolphins.
And Abdul-Jabbar has gotten quite a few sideward glances out of Jimmy Johnson. So far this year, he has been hurt quite a bit, hasn't done much in training camp. This is a little bit of a message substitution. Do something for me now, kid.
6 minutes and 5 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. We're tied at 10. Hobby Stadium, Bernie Kosar and the Dolphins threatening 1st and 10 on the Buccaneers' 16-yard line. Setback is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 33, and this is he getting the football. Being met at the line of scrimmage and driven to the turf. Number 49, Jeff Gooch, one of the Buccaneers on top of him.
But Gooch does a nice job there, as does Demetrius DeBose, the Watch that fill. There's a nice job. DeBoe's got an edge on a player, got an edge on the offensive center, Tim Ruddy, and drove right through him.
No gain, 2nd down and 10. Gooch out of Austin P. University. Kosar was happy field going and overshoots A.C. Tellison in the end zone. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
He's just anticipating a little problem. I don't know about the feet being happy so much as, you know, Tom, after this many years in the league, he knows when that ball needs to be gone, and his feet were moving way too long for his liking. The ball wasn't out of his hands.
Tyoka Jackson was in the immediate area. It'll be 3rd down and 10. McPhail back into the ball game for Miami. And Kosar looks over the defense and says, I need some time out to talk about this one. He'll take it with 5:08 to go on the clock, facing a 3rd down and 10 situation. It's the Buccaneers 10 and the Dolphins 10. We'll be back for more from Joe Robbie Stadium in a moment. Oh, Trent Dilfer and General Manager Rich McKay. What do you suppose they're talking about, Randy?
I got to have that running game, Rich. Got to get number 32 in there as soon as, I don't care what it takes. I need 32.
Don't miss head coach Tony Dungy's first game in front of the home crowd as the Bucs take on the Atlanta Falcons next Saturday night, 7:30. Ticket info, call 879-2828. That's 879-2828. And there is Eric Rett in street clothes. He's a member of the team. He entered his holdout, but not prepared to play tonight. So hope we'll see him in the lineup against the Falcons next weekend. Kosar on a quick throw out to the right flat. The pass is complete, but brought down at the 15-yard line. Tony Bowie made the tackle as Scott Miller brought in the area. 4th down and 5.
Yeah, we talk about closing on a ball, and we predominantly talk about that being done by corners. Right there, Bowie, again, as he did in that one play against Scott Miller, preventing the touchdown, closes very effectively. And Rich McKay is making the rounds. But that's typical. You know, the boss, they don't talk to the grunts. They don't talk to the big, you know, the pick and shovel guys. They talk to the glamour boys. They don't talk to the quarterbacks and the running backs. And, how are you guys doing? Do they ever get to the big guys? They can do all the real work.
Joe Nedney attempting his 2nd field goal of the night, and this one is good. That came from 28 yards away and has given the Dolphins their first lead of the game. It's Miami 13, Tampa Bay 10. Back in a moment.
Oh, this is still extremely makeable range.
Something, though, it's the kind of mistake that Jimmy Johnson wants to eliminate. This happens in a regular season game. He's awfully perturbed.
You know, if you're Jimmy Johnson or Tony Dungy, you almost want people to make these dumb mistakes in this opener like this because it just gives you something to go off on. Another reason to go crazy in a practice, another reason to help motivate players. I mean, you rarely have a flawless opener, and he certainly has not been flawless.
So now it's a 39-yarder by Nedney, plenty long enough, and he makes up for the mistakes of others with that field goal. And as it was a few moments ago, it remains the Miami Dolphins 13 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 10. And we'll see if Casey Weldon comes back in after this kickoff. We understand Milanovic, the rookie out of Maryland, was warming up on the sideline. Now let's check in with our reporter, Pat Boyle. Pat?
Tom, you know, you guys are talking about competition for certain positions. You know, one of the biggest battles is going to be at the kick returner spot. The Bucs know that Courtney Hawkins can get the job done, so they've kind of put him on the shelf right now. Vernon Turner, Nilo Sylvan, and Marvin Marshall will all get looks. Dungy says, though, if one of these guys doesn't show it in the preseason, he may cut all 3 and go with Courtney.
Yeah, Pat, I mean, he told us earlier that, you know, whoever gets that job is going to have to be head and shoulders above the other guy. I mean, if they're spectacular, he's going to keep them. But if they're not spectacular, he's got people that can do it, that can also catch football.
And number 13 is the rookie out of the University of Maryland, played in the run-and-shoot offense. His name is Scott Milanovic, put up some phenomenal numbers early in his career at Maryland, then was embroiled in a bit of a controversy his senior season. Left the school, and now he's in the NFL. Actually was put on suspension and brought back the Maryland program last year. Did not put up the numbers that they hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the size and he's got the arm. that you want in a quarterback in this league. Really, the thing that remains is that having been in that kind of an offense, how do you adjust back to being in a normal offense?
Again, Pete Stoyanovich teeing it up for Miami. His kickoffs have been short tonight. Nilo Sylvan is back there, number 17. He's the deep man at the goal line for Tampa Bay. There he is. Sylvan, rookie out of Tennessee. See if Stoyanovich gets some leg into this. End over end again. It's short, picked up at the 11-yard line by Sylvan. Into his own people up around the 25. Flag goes flying. And so often happens on punt and kickoff returns in the NFL.
Illegal block in the back on the return team, number 25. 10-yard penalty, first down.
I'm going to say it now, Randy, and I won't say it anymore in the preseason. This is one of my pet peeves about the NFL. They got to do so. It's almost impossible to avoid that type of penalty.
Yeah.
And this is the most exciting player, one of them in the game. You got to have more punts and kickoffs without any penalties being called.
Well, you also got to have people that are smart enough when they have somebody's back turned not to hit them. Because in my opinion, as a football fan, it's just as exciting to see a guy run 60 yards and absolutely splatter a return guy tackling him as it is to see a return guy go back 60 yards. And you tell a lot about a returner watching him get hit like that.
So here is the rookie, Scott Milanovich, out of Maryland. First action of the preseason. And his first throw is complete to Larry Ryan's number 14. He is brought down by Tim Jacobs. And there's Milanovich. That's the career numbers at the University of Maryland. Not too shabby, but he played in the run and shoot, remember?
And you see a whole different style of defense when you're in that offense. But this is a good job by Milanovich of putting the zip on the ball. And that's something you can't coach. You can't coach being on the far hash mark, having to throw all the way to the far number 20 yards down the field and getting that thing there in a burp.
Milanovich, first and 10 at the 28-yard line. Tampa Bay down by